Chapter 1264 to know. Wang Lin and Mu Bingmei's gazes met across the open courtyard door. This door was like an uncrossable gully, and the two of them became silent under the moonlight. This silence was different from when he was with Li Qianmei, but he didn't exactly know what the difference was. It seemed that in Wang Lin's life, aside from Li Muwan, there would also be someone called Liu Mei or Mu Bingmei accompanying him. Planet Suzaku was like this, Al-Heaven was like this now. In the Cloud Sea it was still like this. Under this silence, Mu Bingmei lowered her head and slowly walked forward. She stepped through the door and entered the courtyard, stopping 10 feet from Wang Lin. I didn't expect to meet you here. Mu Bingmei raised her head to look at the night sky. Her voice was a bit hoarse. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from Mu Bingmei, and his gaze was calm. The complicated feelings from the past were gone, as if he was looking at an estranged friend. Wang Lin calmly said, "Many things in this world are difficult to predict." Mu Bingmei's beautiful face displayed a dazzling beauty under the moonlight. This beauty contained a noble temperament, and it was an aura she naturally had from being the brilliant void saintess for many years. No woman Wang Lin had met in his life could compare to Mu Bingmei. She was like a fairy that shouldn't exist in the world that had accidentally descended on this world. Difficult to predict, there was a hint of bitterness on Mu Bingmei's face. "Why did you come to the Cloud Sea?" Wang Lin looked at Mu Bingmei. Although she had brought him endless pain, she had deeply imprinted herself in his mind. He could never completely forget about her. However, Liu Mei belonged to this woman, and Liu Mei continued on with her. Sometimes even Wang Lin couldn't tell if she was Liu Mei or Mu Bingmei. However, none of this was important. When Wang Lin left the Alliance star system, he had ended all feuds with this woman. Even if that wind returned, it could never affect his heart. "Do you know a person called Tuo Sen, an ancient god?" Mu Bingmei looked at Wang Lin. There was a hint of bitterness and also a deep sense of worry in her eyes. "Tuo Sen." Wang Lin's eyes suddenly changed, showing a hint of coldness. He escaped. Al-Heaven's army collapsed. He killed countless cultivators, and they had to retreat back to Al-Heaven. They no longer dared to enter the Alliance. Al-Heaven had a powerful cultivator named Master Lu Fu. He avoided the Alliance star system and didn't dare to fight Tuo Sen. Mu Bingmei's words were calm, but the contents shocked Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a deep breath as the aura inside him condensed. He was like a volcano ready to explode. However, Mu Bingmei's words didn't end. She hadn't finished telling Wang Lin all the news. The corpse sect's domain was found by Tuo Sen. The king of the corpse sect fell, with countless dead and injured. The corpse sect almost fell apart. The 4 divine sects suffered countless deaths under Tuo Sen's advance. Although the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor's cultivation is heavenly, he was still no match. Whether he is dead or alive is unknown. All remnants of the Cultivation Alliance were destroyed and scattered by Tuo Sen. Only the Alliance headquarters, for some reason, didn't attract Tuo Sen and remain safe. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. The shock the news brought him was too big. It was like a carriage weighing tons charging straight at him. He didn't think Tuo Sen's awakening would set off such a storm in the Alliance. The Rain Celestial Realm you cared the most about wasn't damaged. Tuo Sen did go, but he was stopped outside by Qin Lin. They seemed to come upon an agreement, and then Tuo Sen left. Mu Bingmei bit her lower lip as she spoke. "You were right. If Ru'er had chosen to stay with me, with her cultivation level, it would have been difficult for her to escape alive. The brilliant void realm no longer exists. All the cultivators inside died in battle. Even the guardian died to Tuo Sen. In exchange for a chance of me escaping, my body collapsed. What you see now is one I just reformed recently. My cultivation level has dropped greatly. If I want to return to my peak, it will take time." The waves in Wang Lin's mind finally calmed down. He had already been mentally prepared for Tuo Sen's appearance. However, hearing Mu Bingmei's words, he was still shocked. "As the brilliant void saintess, I have the inheritance of the brilliant void realm. Tens of thousands of years ago, a previous brilliant void saintess saved the head elder of the god's sect. The head elder owes us a favor, so I used a secret technique to flee here. I wanted to go to the god sect and use their power to help me recover." Mu Bingmei's voice was low when her voice suddenly trembled. What caused her body to tremble was Wang Lin. Wang Lin walked forward and closed in on Mu Bingmei. His finger formed a sword and moved like lightning, targeting the area between her eyebrows. Mu Bingmei didn't dodge. After a moment of being startled, her face became deathly pale. She seemed to remember something but wasn't sure as she allowed Wang Lin's fingers to land between her eyebrows. Mu Bingmei's mind rumbled like crazy, and in a moment an aura rapidly rotated between her eyebrows. A dense ancient god aura came out from this vortex. This aura was very strong. Outsiders couldn't detect it, but Wang Lin could clearly feel it. His expression was gloomy as he looked up at the sky. No one knew what he was thinking. Mu Bingmei's face was bloodless as she stood there startled. Her face was filled with sadness as she retreated a few steps. It was as if she had lost all strength. So sorry. Sorry, Mu Bingmei bit her lip as 2 lines of crystal tears fell down the corners of her eyes. In the end, she was still a woman. Her original intent was to tell Wang Lin everything so he could be prepared. She was worried about Wang Lin's safety. She wanted him to know all of this so he could quickly leave. Her intentions were good. After I arrived at the Cloud Sea, I checked my body and origin soul many times without discovering anything. This body was just formed, and I checked every inch of my origin soul. Wang Lin lowered his head. When he saw Mu Bingmei's pale and crying face and the remorse in her eyes, he let out a sigh and softly said, "It's all right. This matter has nothing to do with you. I personally saw All Heaven's third step cultivator, Master Lu Fu, get defeated and almost die. With Tuo Sen's strength, if he wanted to leave an imprint on you that you couldn't detect, you wouldn't be able to find it." Wang Lin's voice was soft. He naturally saw Mu Bingmei's good intentions. Mu Bingmei didn't expect the result to be like this. Her face was deathly pale. Besides, since Tuo Sen left the ancient god imprint on you, it is same as sending me some tonic. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand reached at Mu Bingmei. The ancient god auras attracted each other and the imprint flew at Wang Lin. When it got close to Wang Lin, stars appeared between his eyebrows. The imprint was then absorbed into the 6th star. In his mind, Tuo Sen suddenly appeared and roared, but Wang Lin's ancient god body immediately appeared. This was a devour and an absorption. Although Tuo Sen was strong, he hadn't left much aura on Mu Bingmei. A moment later, Wang Lin absorbed it, and it unexpectedly made his 6th star even more stable. Before he left the alliance, he shouted your name, looking for you. He even came to the Cloud Sea but couldn't find you. Mu Bingmei took a deep breath. Her eyes were filled with guilt. Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed as he looked at Mu Bingmei and said, "Do you know when he came to the Cloud Sea?" Mu Bingmei pondered a bit and softly said, "I dawned to know the exact time. I was in closed-door cultivation, recovering my body, but it shouldn't have been more than 100 years. 100 years! Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he began to ponder. Wang Lin had spent most of the past 100 years in that strange place. He was vaguely aware that his location was similar to the Sealed Realm formation. Tuo Sen must have not found my aura in the Sealed Realm. If I were him, I would wonder if I left the Sealed Realm. And at that time, I was at a place related to the Sealed Realm formation. When Tuo Sen tried to break through, he noticed my aura. As a result, Wang Lin's expression became strange. If Tuo Sen was still in the Sealed Realm, there would be no way he hadn't come looking for me, since I had already left the 7-colored realm for several months. So far, he still hasn't come, so I can almost conclude that Tuo Sen used some unknown method to enter the outer realm. Just as Wang Lin figured out what happened, an angry roar echoed throughout the ancient star system. There was a giant ancient god charging out from an ancient clan while roaring angrily. Behind him was a bloody mess. This was already the 9th ancient clan he had destroyed. He still wasn't able to find a trace of Wang Lin in the ancient star system, which made Tuo Sen almost crazy. However, just a moment after he destroyed this clan, his mind trembled. He clearly felt the imprint he had left on the brilliant Void Saintess detect Wang Lin's aura. This discovery made Tuo Sen's expression ugly, and a storm erupted in his body. "You in the Sealed Realm. How could you be in the Sealed Realm? I clearly searched there countless times." Tuo Sen roared like crazy, but right now he didn't have the strength to break through the Sealed Realm formation again anytime soon. As time goes on, a heavy dizziness is setting in. My mind can't cope. Tomorrow I will continue to burst forth with all my might. In 12 hours that will be doubling the likes for the video, hoping that everyone is ready with 2 likes for Leo. Thank you. Chapter Foreign Country. Because the giant hand suddenly paused due to the G-Realm soul, Wang Lin's body disappeared into the transfer array the moment it opened. The giant hand turned into countless black lines. They hovered around the transfer array for a long time before finally disappearing. Because of the existence of the G-Realm, Wang Lin became the first soul devourer to go from the world of decay to the world of the living. Although his soul had been refined to just a small piece of G-Realm soul, the essence of a soul devourer was still with him. The rank 3 cultivation of Hu Fen was at the southern part of planet Suzaku, and was to the south of the Sea of Devils. On this day, at the top of the volcano at the center of Hu Fen, stood a group of people from the War God Shrine. The War God Shrine's 6 nascent soul ancestors were sitting comfortably at the top of Hu Fen. Back when the battle for the right to enter the foreign battleground began, the War God Shrine crushed the competition and was the only sect to enter. The person leading the group wasn't a nascent soul cultivator, but an early-stage core formation elder named Huo Hongfei. Maybe it was because his cultivation method was the divine path, but he didn't look old at all at the age of 200. Rather, he looked like a very handsome middle-aged man. The divine path is the top cultivation method of the War God Shrine. Only when someone reaches the foundation establishment stage can they cultivate using this method, which is said to help with reaching the core formation stage. As to exactly how it works, outsiders don't know. But since all of the core formation and nascent soul cultivators from the War God Shrine were natives of Hu Fen, there must have been something special about the method. If the divine path had such a strong effect, then it wasn't surprising that others would want to try to steal it, but even if the other sects tried, they didn't have the ability to because the War God Shrine was simply too powerful. But with people constantly trying to steal it, the War God Shrine finally gave up and decided to hold a general assembly every 20 years for people to view the divine path. Of course, everyone must pay a certain amount of spirit stones to view it, and whether or not they could comprehend it was up to themselves. As a result, the War God Shrine stopped having to worry about it. They also gained a large amount of income, so they were very happy about how it turned out. This divine path method only had 100 words. Each word was hard to understand and very few people could comprehend it. In truth, what Huo Hongfei was cultivating was a method a very talented member of the War God Shrine created after studying the divine path for more than half of his life. Not only was this method very powerful, it also had the ability to keep you looking young after practicing it for a long time, so it was favored by the disciples of the War God Shrine. Beside Huo Hongfei stood a group of people. The most eye-catching one was a young woman with a very graceful figure. She was as pretty as a peacock, and her delicate face was like that of a fairy. Her mouth was slightly open as she talked to a handsome and tall young man next to her. There was a hint of tenderness in her eyes. The transfer array suddenly opened, and everyone's gaze focused on it. The transfer array became brighter and brighter as 3 figures appeared and became more clear. Huo Hongfei frowned and secretly sighed. He learned a while ago that the foreign battleground was collapsing, and was prepared for the fact that not many disciples might make it back. But seeing only 3 people, even though he was prepared, he still felt very sad. But when he clearly saw Zhou Zihong among them, he felt relieved. Zhou Zihong was his disciples, and was very stubborn. When she told him that she wanted to go to the foreign battleground, he strongly disagreed, but the kid still went anyways. Huo Hongfei felt helpless. After giving her some magic treasures, he reluctantly let her go. After seeing that she had made it back, he finally relaxed a bit. After the 3 of them appeared, they looked at the familiar scene before them and felt very unreal. However, the 3 of them looked at each other, and their hearts became heavy again. What they cared about the most right now was whether Wang Lin lived or died. It has to be said that the 3 of them had already given their soul essence blood to Wang Lin. If he were to die, then they would find it difficult to escape death as well. After greeting Elder Huo Hongfei, Hongfei's gaze swept past them. He said, "Not bad. Everyone's cultivation level has increased greatly. Zihong and Tang Xiong both reached the late stage of foundation establishment. Lin Tao is a bit behind but is very close to breaking through. Very good. After experiencing this trial at the foreign battleground, your cultivation speed will increase greatly. It is a pity that too few disciples have returned." Zhou Zihong sighed and whispered, "Master, When the foreign battleground suddenly collapsed, many strange creatures appeared. Once they jumped on you, you would immediately die. No one in the foreign battleground was able to resist. This all happened too quickly. Originally, our harvest was very rich, but now with that, her expression suddenly became very gloomy. Hu Hongfei waved his hand. Looking at the three, he frowned and said, "We can talk about it later. Now tell me, why has your appearance not changed? It has to be said that while inside the foreign battleground, your appearance wouldn't change, but you would instantly age those 50 years right after leaving. Although the cultivation method the three of them used helped maintain youth, they still shouldn't look exactly like they did before they left." Tang Xiong was the senior disciple and was also the sect head's proud disciple. After he heard Hu Hongfei's words, he quickly said, "Elder doesn't he know, but junior apprentice brother Mai Liang got his hands on pills that could preserve our appearance for 100 years per pill. The three of us took 2 pills each." The disciples that were around that heard it enviously looked at the three of them, especially the young woman, who had been looking at Zhou Zihong with doubt in her eyes the whole time. She suddenly said, "Senior apprentice Sister Zhou, do you still have that pill?" Zhou Zihong coldly looked at her and said, "You have to ask junior apprentice brother Mai Liang about that." The young woman was angry, but she only smiled and no longer said anything. She secretly thought that the timid Mai Liang must have already died, so how could she even ask? Clearly, Zhou Zihong didn't want to tell her. The young man next to her whispered something in her ear. The young woman stuck her tongue out at him and her face reddened. Hu Hongfei looked at the two and ignored them. He then looked at Zhou Zihong's group and said, "Okay, since everyone has returned, we should go back." Ancestor Lan Feng came out of closed-door cultivation to hear about the matter of the foreign battleground from you guys. With that, he meaningfully looked at the three of them. Lin Tao hesitated for a bit and whispered, "Junior apprentice brother Mai Liang is still back there." The situation was grim, so he told us to return first, and he will follow suit. Hu Hongfei raised his eyebrows and said, with a touch of surprise, "Mai Liang. He is also one of the lucky survivors." The moment he said those words, the expressions of the disciples of the war god shrine became strange. Especially that beautiful young woman S. She asked, "Mai Liang, didn't he die?" Zhou Zihong's expression was strange. She looked at the young woman and said, "Junior apprentice sister can relax. During those years in the foreign battleground, his personality has changed. The current him won't bother junior apprentice sister anymore." The young woman frowned. She shook her head and said, "You guys don't understand." How could Mai Liang still be alive? Hu Hongfei stared at her and shouted, "What nonsense! Do you wish for Mai Liang to die? Is this what your master taught you?" The young woman lowered her head and didn't dare to speak. The young man next to her said, "What are you afraid of? If he still dares to bother you, I am here." Yang Xiong sighed and said, with a deep voice, "Junior apprentice sister, junior apprentice brother Mai Liang won't bother you anymore. You can rest assured." With that, he secretly thought, that senior's personality is cold. How could he possibly fancy you? Just at that moment, the transfer array suddenly lit up again. Everyone looked at the transfer array only to see a thin and weak figure walk out of it. Everyone suddenly felt a coldness inside them the moment that person appeared. The coldness wasn't in their bodies, but in their souls. It was as if the person before them was a piece of ice that could freeze the soul. This feeling was very oppressive. The disciples of the war god shrine were the first to experience the tyrannical nature of the Ji realm. They couldn't help but take a deep breath. The young woman, Shu Si, shivered and felt very confused. Although this person looked like Mai Liang, his aura was completely different from before. Wang Lin walked out and looked around. When he noticed Hu Hongfei, he quickly clasped his hands and said, "Disciple Mai Liang greets Elder Hu." Hu Hongfei's eyes lit up brightly as he said, "It is good that you back." With that, he stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was cold as he said, "Disciple still has something very important to do. Once I am done, I'll return to the sect." Hu Hongfei frowned and was about to speak when Wang Lin threw out a bag of holding and said, "This is all that disciple has gathered in these past 50 years. All of the magic treasures have been destroyed, so only these materials remain." With that, Wang Lin jumped into the air and flew into the distance. Hu Hongfei took the bag of holding. He scanned it with his divine sense and his expression became strange. The contents of the bag of holding were very valuable. When he raised his head, Wang Lin had already disappeared, but he didn't follow him. He had his doubts, but he felt like he should go back and report it to the sect head. The most important reason he felt that was because he didn't feel like he could easily make Wang Lin stay. That coldness he felt made him dread Wang Lin. Even if he had tried to make him stay by force, if he had ended up in a sorry state, he would lose a lot of face in front of the disciples. After considering that, he decided that it wasn't worth it and didn't chase after Wang Lin. The second watch has come. So thankful for the praise from the new clan leader. Last night Leo started from the starting point, immediately saw a new follower. I'm ecstatic. Thank you everyone. Chapter 1265. Shocking change. Mu Bingmei left. She had come to tell Wang Lin what happened in the alliance. There was no other talk between them. It was as if he didn't want to mention it, and she didn't want to talk about it. Before she left, Mu Bingmei's figure under the moonlight stopped outside the courtyard. She paused for a moment and didn't turn around but whispered something. Li Qianmei is pretty good, however. You still can't forget little sister Wan Air. I believe that if little sister Wan Air woke up, she wouldn't want to see you be lonely for thousands of years. I don't want to see you like this either. After today, I'll head to the God sect to recover and probably leave closed door cultivation for 1,000 years. I don't know if we will meet again in 1,000 years. However, Wang Lin, I have something I want to say to you. I am Liu Mei, Wang Ping's mother. When I unshackle myself from the brilliant void realm, I'll accompany Wang Ping through countless reincarnation cycles and be a real mother. Mu Bingmei muttered as she gradually walked away. Her Tao heart gradually moved toward completion after she spoke these words. 1,000 illusion ruthless domain, 10,000 illusion demon domain. In the end, it slowly changed. Among the brilliant void scientists, only one person had ever succeeded in the spell inherited by the brilliant void scientist, and everyone else failed. Mu Bingmei had taken a shortcut by using avatars, but failed with Liu Mei. Her Tao heart was incomplete, and thus a crack appeared on the strongest spell of the brilliant void realm. This crack was Liu Mei, also Wang Lin, but more so Wang Ping. However, at this moment, as Mu Bingmei had experienced everything so far, she no longer avoided that crack. She chose to face it, to accept it. It was due to this change that her Tao began to show signs of completion. Ruthlessness and affection were two sides of the same coin. Cultivation. If one uses the ruthlessness of the heavens to cultivate Tao, the final result won't be good enough to be called Tao. When a cultivator had a hint of affection, they would be able to use it to defy Tao. This allowed the cultivator to have something precious to guard, so they would be willing to struggle against the world. The crack on Mu Bingmei's Tao heart already contained Wang Lin's figure. As her way of thinking changed and her Tao gradually recovered, his figure became an imprint under her ruthless domain. Taking this imprint, her Tao had entered the path to completion. Inside the courtyard, under the moonlight, there were fragrances of two different women that had accompanied Wang Lin. He stood there under the moonlight, pondering for a long time. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, several days went by. The competition between the rank 8 sects was approaching, and it was time to depart. Mu Bingmei left the everlasting sect with Wang Shanshan. Wang Shanshan received word from her teacher to quickly return to the God sect. The everlasting sect naturally didn't dare to stop them. Before they left, Mu Bingmei didn't turn around. She was proud. She was the brilliant void saintess. The brilliant void realm was destroyed, leaving only her. From this moment on, she no longer belonged to herself. It was her responsibility to cultivate to restore the brilliant void realm, to fulfill the responsibility of the brilliant void saintess. This was a responsibility she had avoided for a long time, but now she chose to confront it and would no longer run away. Her conversation with Wang Lin had resolved the disturbance in her heart. She buried that memory deep within her heart and sealed it. Li Qianmei was also going to leave. She had received an urgent call from her master to return. The jade didn't include what happened, but with harsh words, he ordered Li Qianmei to use the everlasting sect's transfer array to return to the heaven-breaking sect. It felt like something hidden was moving. Li Qianmei couldn't disobey her teacher's words. The heaven-breaking sect had given her everything, and her teacher had raised her. Although her teacher didn't say the reason, She had never seen such stern words from him. She only had time to say goodbye before entering the transfer array of the everlasting sect. After being transferred several times, she went to the heaven-breaking sect. Her heart was confused. She didn't know why her teacher had sent out such an anxious order. In her memory, her teacher had always been calm and had never been like this. She didn't know why, but she had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. After Mu Bingmei and Li Qianmei left, Wang Lin left the everlasting sect with the sect master and high elders. They headed to the location of the competition between the rank 8 sects. That was the real main event. The everlasting sect's sect master was very confident in this battle. He believed that the other rank 8 sects would without a doubt lose and the everlasting sect would become number 1. Because with Wang Lin's arrival, the competition was no longer balanced. The everlasting sect had an overwhelming advantage. In the eyes of the sect master and high elders, the battle was no longer important. It was all about the expressions of shock on the rest of the rank 8 sects once the battle was over. However, just like what Wang Lin and Mu Bingmei said, the world was unpredictable. Half an hour before the everlasting sect was going to leave, a ray of light shot out from the everlasting sect. This ray of light contained a heaven-shaking aura, and it shot straight toward the sect master. There was an old man inside the ray of light. Wang Lin hadn't seen this old man before, but from the halo coming from his body, he was also someone at the Heaven's blight stage. This old man's expression was very gloomy, and without a word he threw a jade at the sect master. The sect master frowned as he caught the jade. After his divine sense scanned the jade, his expression changed greatly. Then his expression became gloomy and popping sounds came from his body. His anger had reached a limit. He let out a cold snort and handed the jade to the 2 high elders beside him. After the 2 higher elders checked it, their expressions became gloomy. It seemed like the entire sky had darkened. The high elder that fought with Wang Lin clenched his teeth and roared like the cold wind. What arrogance from the God sect! With one word from the God sect, the grand competition that has existed among the rank 8 sects for tens of thousands of years was cancelled. I wonder what made the God sect go crazy to cancel the rank 8 sect competition. My everlasting sect has prepared for many years for this competition, and now, with fellow cultivator Lu here, we could be easily taken first place. We could be swept away all the shame from the previous competitions. What right does the God sect have to cancel it? Another high elder sneered and revealed anger in his eyes. However, a sense of unwillingness and being wronged outweighed that anger. They were all powerful cultivators, and the everlasting sect wasn't a small sect. However, with just one jade from the God sect, they had to accept this humiliation. The sect master silently pondered for a very long time, and suddenly became tired. He let out a sigh and shook his head. Since the God sect has passed down the order to cancel the competition, they must have their reasons. Only, the reason is not known to us. While feeling bitter, the sect master looked at Wang Lin and clasped his hands. Fellow cultivator Lu, the rank 8 competition has been cancelled by the God sect. I must discuss this with rest of the elders. How about you take the origin sect back to the rank region and prepare them to be moved to the rank region? Wang Lin's expression was calm, but he felt a sense of fear, as if some heavening shaking matter was descending. He pondered for a bit before his eyes lit up, and he said, "Can I look at the jade from the God sect?" The high elder holding the jade waved his right hand, and it flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught it and scanned it with his divine sense. There was only one line inside the jade. There is no need to continue the rank 8 sect competition. It concludes now. God sect jade. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense spread through it, he felt an indescribable power rush out from these words. It seemed to form a large handprint. Wang Lin was shocked, and he withdrew his divine sense. He returned the jade to the everlasting sect before clasping his hands and leaving. The everlasting sect members all had complicated feelings. Many were angry, but they were helpless and could only accept it. Li Qianmei accepted the heaven-breaking sect's summon and quickly left. Mu Bingmei and Wang Xianxia were called back, but they don't know the reason. These things alone aren't suspicious, but the rank 8 sect competition being cancelled at the same time by the God sect, all of this is too strange. Could it be that something big is going to happen in the Cloud Sea? Wang Lin frowned and was very puzzled. While pondering, he quickly returned to where the origin sect was and summoned Lu Yanfei and the others. They immediately packed up and used the transfer array to return to the continent of Mo Luo in the rank region. Wang Lin vaguely felt like something bad was going to happen. This terrifying feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Even when he tried to cultivate, he couldn't calm himself down. Quickly sort out the matters of the origin sect. "I'll take you all to the rank region in 3 days, then I leave." After he returned, he gave out the order and then immediately entered closed-door cultivation. His origin soul quickly entered the celestial sealing stamp and fused with the Alzer's soul. This time, he fused with the Alzer not to fight an enemy, but to borrow Alzer's power to forcibly predict the unknown. At the same time, in the rank 9 heaven-breaking sect, the moment Li Qianmei returned to the sect, her expression changed greatly. Her serenity completely disappeared due to the shock of what she saw. 3 of the 10 high elders were sitting around the transfer formation Li Qianmei had appeared in. The transfer array no longer had the ability to transfer. It was now a sealing formation. Her teacher had left his almost perpetual closed-door cultivation and was sitting outside the formation. The moment Li Qianmei appeared, his eyes lit up and he stared at Li Qianmei. "You were not allowed to step outside this formation for 3 months. Otherwise, you will be punished in accordance to the sect's rules." The new chapter is late, but it has over 500 more words than the previous ones. I hope not to be hit. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1266, A Chance of Survival. An undercurrent was moving within the Cloud Sea, and it had been caused by the God sect. It was interfering with a series of people. Li Qianmei was trapped by her sect and wasn't allowed to go anywhere for 3 months. Her teacher had come out of his perpetual closed-door cultivation to stop their most important disciple. He had his own difficulties. He had to do this for Li Qianmei's safety. Mu Bingmei was confused about all of this, but she vaguely felt like something was wrong. She went to the God sect with Wang Shanshan, but didn't see Wang Shanshan's teacher, who was the person with the highest power in the God sect. The head elder. Deist water. The moment she entered the God sect, she was placed into a closed-door cultivation room. The God sect would provide all pills, but she wasn't allowed to step out. If she knew that the rank 8 sect competition had been cancelled, with her intelligence, she would have become suspicious. Even if she couldn't find the real cause, she would have seen some clues. However, right now Mu Bingmei didn't know any of this. Even Li Qianmei didn't know that the rank 8 sect competition had been cancelled by the God sect. The undercurrent diffused across the Cloud Sea. On the continent of Mo Luo, all the origin sect disciples were hastily packing up under Lu Yanfei's order. It had taken 3 days to clean everything up. They were now ready to leave this rank region they had spent countless years living in and move to the new origin sect prepared by the everlasting sect in the rank 7 region. Wang Lin was sitting inside a secret room in the origin sect. His mind was fused with the Alzer's soul inside the celestial sealing stamp. At this moment, he seemed to become the all-seer. Everything in the world seemed to be under his control, but that was only on the surface. After fusing with the all-seer's soul, Wang Lin sat down, and his hands formed a seal. His mind spread into the sky, and he began merging with the heavens. He took a day to finally reach a point where he was the heavens, and the heavens were him. Under this fused state, Wang Lin's origin soul seemed to leave his body and merge with the world. This allowed his and the Alzer's souls to reach an unprecedented level of fusion. Inseparable. If he was just using the All-Seer's attack spell, Wang Lin wouldn't have to merge with it so deeply. However, he wasn't attacking, but relying on the All-Seer's soul to predict the future to find the root of what was causing him to feel so terrified. However, this kind of prediction was too difficult for Wang Lin. He was, after all, not the All-Seer, and was only using a small part of the All-Seer's original ability within his soul to predict the future by force. Discover now. At this moment, in his mind, his eyes were covered by boundless fog, making him unable to see anything at all. It was as if there was a force shrouding the world, not allowing him to see the root cause. However, Wang Lin didn't give up, and all his origin energy moved, causing him to fuse even more with the All-Seer. As their integration became deeper, he seemed to forget some things. He forgot that he was cultivating, and that he was at the origin sect in the Cloud Sea. At this moment, He forgot all of this. The fog that covered the world began to rapidly rotate, and a thunderous rumble echoed in his mind. It was as if a pair of giant, invisible hands were moving this fog, causing a vortex to appear. The moment the vortex appeared, a thunderous rumble only he could hear descended and landed on the vortex. At this instant, the vortex collapsed and rapidly scattered. The moment the vortex scattered, Wang Lin saw the scene hidden by the fog. Inside the picture, there was a pair of eyes, and the eyes exuded a merciless cold gaze. This pair of eyes was looking indifferently at a person looking up at the sky. The moment he saw the picture, his mind trembled as if hundreds of thousands of thunderclaps had exploded in his mind. His mind nearly collapsed, and the vortex split apart by the thunder rapidly reformed and hid the picture once more. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and his face instantly turned pale. That earth was the continent of Mo Luo. The cultivator who was looked up at the sky was me. The owner of the eyes has heaven-shaking cultivation. Before him, I'll without a doubt die. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate through the chamber and land on the sky above Mo Luo. Right now the sky was clear and sunny. Fusing with the All-Seer's soul to see the future is my limit, but I am unwilling to let this be. I want to see it again. While pondering, Wang Lin let out a cold snort, then his right hand formed a seal and pointed to between his eyebrows. He opened his mouth to spit out a ghostly light that turned into the celestial sealing stamp before him. The celestial sealing stamp rapidly rotated. The wails that came out of it could shock the mind of anyone. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal, and he placed a seal on the celestial sealing stamp. It immediately trembled and began to shine. It lit up the dark room completely. Inside the ghostly light, the All-Seer's soul stepped out and stood before Wang Lin. Magic arsenal, soul return, heaven and earth are boundless. Accommodate heaven's tribute. Wang Lin rarely recited the full chant when using spells. However, the spell he was trying to use was very powerful. It was a profound Tao intent within magic arsenal. Discover now. The moment he said the chant, the All-Seer's soul's eyes shined brightly, and he walked forward. He went through Wang Lin and seemed to overlap with Wang Lin. At this moment, the All-Seer's soul turned around, facing the same direction as Wang Lin, and sat down. It looked like the All-Seer's soul had become Wang Lin's origin soul. At this moment, his origin soul seemed to have become integrated with Wang Lin. This was no longer the fusion where Wang Lin's mind entered the celestial sealing stamp. This was a complete integration. The moment the All-Seer's soul sat down and they overlapped, it was already impossible to tell them apart. His body seemed to change drastically. It sometimes became the All-Seer and sometimes became himself. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes closed and his mind trembled. The boundless fog appeared again, and this time it was even stronger. There was also a vortex rapidly rotating, and as Wang Lin roared, the vortex collapsed and the fog scattered once more. It revealed a picture inside. This picture wasn't T-static, but moving. Inside the picture, Wang Lin coughed out blood on the continent of Mo Luo. His body immediately collapsed, and the moment his origin soul flew out, it dissipated. The picture changed once more. This time, Wang Lin's face was pale as he fled through space. He didn't get far when a mirror appeared before him, and that pair of ruthless eyes was in it. With one gaze, Wang Lin's body collapsed and his origin soul died. The picture changed again. This time it was more complete. What appeared was Wang Lin inside the chamber. He looked up and didn't hesitate to leave. He paid no attention to the sect that was still packing and flew off into space. The picture didn't show the passage of time. An unknown amount of time passed, and as Wang Lin escaped, a pair of eyes seemed to pierce through the star fog, landing on his body. The picture moved again. This time Wang Lin had turned into an ancient god, and he was roaring at the sky. In the sky was an old man wearing a Taoist robe. The old man raised his hand and pointed down. Inside the picture, Wang Lin's body lost all ability to move. The old man closed in and pressed the spot between Wang Lin's eyebrows. He died once more. Pictures continued to appear, and it was different each time. It was unexpectedly Wang Lin thinking of all kinds of ways to struggle and escape. But in the end, he died. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes and stared ahead. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead and his body. In a short period of time, his body was soaked by sweat. Discover now. Dead, dead, dead. Thanks to the All-Seer-S spell, I saw through thousands of possible futures, but I survived in none of them. No matter what, I'll die. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness, but even more so, a sense of unwillingness. He was sure that Li Qianmei's departure was related to him. Mu Bingmei's departure was related to him. The rank 8 sect competition being stopped was related to him. There was an extremely powerful third-step cultivator that wanted to kill him. This was not the same as the seven-colored realm, where the third-step cultivator had used power across space to make one palm. This was a third-step cultivator coming in their original body to take his life. I, Wang Lin, have been a heaven-defying cultivator all my life, and I have encountered countless life and death crises. No matter how big the crisis, I'll have to face it. I don't believe I can find a way to break this death trap. If there is no way out, so what if I die? There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as his hand reached out. His storage space opened and a number of fake heaven-defying beads flew out. He looked over the beads and then picked one up. 7-colored light shined from his eyes, and as it shrouded his body, it entered the bead. The bead absorbed the 7-colored light and then suddenly collapsed into a 7-colored vortex that floated before Wang Lin. Staring at the 7-colored vortex, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and inhaled it into his mouth. His mind suddenly rumbled. Summon the Defying One's world prediction spell. Wang Lin's voice was filled with killing intent. He used his body as the heavens and earth to summon the spell of the Defying Ones to find that sliver of chance for survival. The moment his words echoed, Wang Lin's mind trembled, and a powerful aura burst within his body. It rushed into his mind and fell on the picture. It tore apart all fog and allowed that last picture to appear. There was one person in that picture. This old man is Liu Jinbiao. Dao name. Master Jinbiao. The end of the year is here, brothers. Give a like for Leo. Chapter 1267. Yurei Liu Jinbiao? Just as Wang Lin was calculating the future with the Defying One spell, the disciples of the Origin sect had already finished packing everything. They were waiting for Wang Lin in the main square. Originally, they were talking. There was confusion and excitement in their words. They already knew that the Origin sect wasn't going to be disbanded and was going to be moved to the rank 7 sect. However, just at this moment, the clear sky darkened and a shocking wail arrived. A ray of golden light closed in on the Origin sect. In an instant, this golden light arrived, and there was a jade inside the light. After the jade arrived, it floated above the Origin sect's square. This sudden change caused an uproar among the disciples. Even Lu Yanfei and company's expressions changed because the aura from it was something only Nirvana Shatterer old monsters could release. It wasn't just any ordinary Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, but one at the peak of the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Just a jade was able to produce such a heaven-shaking effect. The sky changed colors, the clouds churned, and there were even faint signs of law. This old man is Liu Jinbiao, Dao name. Master Jinbiao. The majestic voice came from the jade and shrouded the entire Origin sect. Even the continent of Mo Luo trembled under this voice. Lu Yanfei had seen a lot in the rank 8 everlasting sect and therefore wasn't just an ordinary Nirvana Scryer cultivator. Her eyes lit up and she clasped her hands. I don't know why Senior Jinbiao came to my Origin sect. Disaster is upon you and you don't even know it yourself, so I'll tell you. 3 days ago someone found this old man. They wanted to buy the life of your entire Origin sect. The voice was filled with an inexplicable pressure. As the voice echoed, it was as if thunder was echoing, and it turned into law that merged with the world. All of this turned into pressure that weighed down the minds of the Origin sect disciples. Lu Yanfei's expression immediately changed. However, this old man has no feud with your Origin sect. Although I need Origin crystals to refine pills, I would rather not do something like this. However, if I have no other choice, I can only take the lives of your entire Origin sect. Lu Yanfei's eyes became cold as she sneered. But the other Origin sect disciples were filled with fear. All of you have already packed, ready to be disbanded. Forget it, the everlasting sect's sect master once saved his old man and I owe him one. If you all satisfy me, this old man will send out a letter and prevent your Origin sect from being disbanded. This old man doesn't wish to kill your entire Origin sect. If you can take out enough Origin crystals or something equivalent, I'll put this matter to rest. The ancient voice gave off an undeniable aura, along with the intent of threat. Due to the Nirvana Shatterer aura, this threat could shock the mind of those who heard it. Lu Yanfei pondered, but her expression became even more cold. Just at this moment, inside the chamber, Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at the wall as if his gaze could pierce through it. Lu Jinbiao? Wang Lin's face became cold as he stood up and separated from the All-Seer's soul. He swallowed the celestial sealing stamp and left the chamber. He appeared in the sky above the square in the origin sect. This old man's time is limited. I will only give you 15 minutes to consider. After 15 minutes, the peak Nirvana Shatterer aura spread out like crazy, but he didn't notice that Wang Lin was staring at it with a cold gaze, and his divine sense spread out. Wang Lin fused all his cultivation with his divine sense and swept it across Moluo. Using the aura from the jade, his divine sense quickly gathered in a mortal capital city in the southern part of the continent. This capital was bustling and the streets were filled with people. In the southern part of the city, there was an inn, and at this moment, inside a closed room, there was an old man sitting there. He gave off the air of a celestial, had white hair, and wore a white robe. His eyes were closed and there was a jade floating before him. This jade was crystal clear and seemed to contain the world, but strangely, it gave off no aura. Even while looking at it closely, you wouldn't feel anything strange about it. Only when you looked at it with your eyes would you feel that shocking feeling. After 15 minutes, if you don't send over the origin crystals, everyone in your origin sect will be instantly annihilated. The old man sat there as if he was speaking to himself. Those words were absorbed by the jade and sent to the origin sect tens of thousands of kilometers away. However, this old man knows that your origin sect doesn't have anything valuable. Forget it. All of you just take out all your bags and the things in your storage spaces, and this old man will pretend none of this happened. Not only will this dispel your danger, ILL also send a letter to your everlasting sect's sect master. This old man rarely shows this kind of compassion, so think about it carefully. As the old man spoke, he shook his head. He controlled the tone of his words very well and grasped it perfectly. After he finished speaking, he opened his eyes. His eyes shined and he revealed a smug sneer. He had already received information that the origin sect would likely be disbanded, so he had waited here. He had waited for the cultivators to return from the competition, and while they were all panicking, he could succeed in one go. However, due to the everlasting sect sealing all information, he didn't know about what had happened to the origin sect, nor of Wang Lin's existence. This has almost 100% chance of succeeding. This old man never does anything that could fail. It's a pity that this old man can show up in person. That Lu Yanfei is known as the #1 beauty in the rank region. Unfortunate if this old man could taste a fairy, that would be wonderful. The old man sighed and looked at the jade. The pride in his eyes was even stronger. He raised his hand to reach for the jade. However, just at this moment, a cold voice echoed in the room. You Jinbiao. This voice appeared too suddenly and frightened the old man enough that he almost jumped into the air. His face instantly paled as he turned to see a person standing in the corner of the room. This person had white hair, white robe, and his gaze was cold. When the old man met this person's gaze, his mind trembled and he immediately coughed out blood. The old man's eyes were filled with monstrous fear as he exclaimed, "Nirvana Shatterer, old monster!" After he spoke, he rushed forward and went for the window to escape. Wang Lin coldly stared at the old man as he lifted his foot and took a step. A heaven-shaking pressure spread out, causing the old man to tremble and cough out blood once more. The old man was terrified as he screamed in terror, "Jade, protect me!" The jade floating in the air shined and shot at the old man. It was fast. Even Wang Lin only saw a blur before it arrived before the old man. It released a bright glow and took the old man. Then they smashed through the window and shot into the sky. The moment the old man escaped, Wang Lin's right hand pushed forward. Endless origin energy gathered from all directions toward the old man. However, just as it closed in on the old man, the light from the jade shined brightly and a thunderous rumble echoed. Wang Lin's attack that could kill Nirvana Shatterer cultivators unexpectedly collapsed. The old man wasn't injured at all, thanks to the protection of the jade, and charged off into the distance. Wang Lin's mind trembled as he stared at the escaping old man. He wasn't looking at the old man, but at that jade. This old man named Lu Jinbiao was what appeared in the last picture when Wang Lin was predicting his future. However, Wang Lin was puzzled because this old man's cultivation level was really too low. From the looks of it, he had just broken through the ascendant stage and reached the illusionary yin stage. Even if hundreds of him were put together, they wouldn't be able to resist Wang Lin's attack. However, the old man wasn't injured at all with the protection of the jade. This made Wang Lin's eyes shine. What kind of jade is this? Wang Lin chased after the old man like crazy. The old man was pale and blood was flowing down from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with panic that had never appeared before. He had cheated people for many years, and due to the jade, he had never been found. He had also been very careful to not be found, but now someone had found him and was after him. Nirvana Shatterer, old monster. Just thinking about the other person's cultivation level, the old man became even more fearful. He only hated that he couldn't escape faster. Jade, I'll depend on you for this crisis. You have never disappointed me before. Today's life and death crisis will depend on you. You have to help me. Most of the origin crystals I cheated were absorbed by you. The old man's face was even paler, but his words seemed to have an effect. The jade shined once more, and the old man's speed increased. However, when the old man had escaped tens of thousands of kilometers away, ripples appeared before him, and Wang Lin walked out. He waved his right hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed, then a powerful storm appeared and collided with the jade. A thunderous rumble echoed as if the world was going to be torn apart. However, the light from the jade didn't seem damaged at all. It changed directions and continued to escape. I want to see where you going to run. Wang Lin's voice was cold, and as he spoke, his hands formed seals. Large amounts of restrictions appeared and shot toward that jade. The last 2 days of the month are upon us, wishing for the like button for the video. Right now, it's about doubling the likes for the video. Very grateful and will return the favor. Chapter 1268, The Heaven-Defying Bead Disappears. At this moment, the entire world was surrounded by the countless restrictions Wang Lin had scattered. It was like an expanded sphere that was rapidly condensing. The old man inside the jade revealed a hint of despair, but at this moment a hiss came from the jade. Black mist came out of the jade and formed a giant centipede almost 1,000 feet large. This centipede was completely black and had a golden line on its back. It was extremely fierce. After it appeared, it suddenly spat a mouthful of poison at Wang Lin. This poison mist contained a powerful poison. When it touched the restrictions closing in, they suddenly collapsed. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He didn't stop at all and charged forward. He raised his right hand to point at the sky and shouted, "The thunder of the world, listen to my command." After he spoke, countless thunderbolts appeared in the sky above Moluo and replaced the world. All of them descended down toward the giant centipede. The centipede let out a hiss and showed signs of desperation. The moment the thunder closed in, a strange scene unfolded. More black mist came out of the jade and 6 more 1,000-foot centipedes appeared. A total of 7 centipedes hissed like crazy as they spat out poison mist that collided with the thunder. Thunderous rumbles echoed along with miserable roars. 3 of the 7 centipedes collapsed and turned into nothing. The remaining 4 centipedes quickly retreated. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he charged forward. He charged into the thunder and attacked with his right hand. There was a boom, and 2 of the remaining 4 centipedes collapsed. The last 2 centipedes quickly retreated while hissing. They were about to return to the jade. However, how could Wang Lin let them return? He waved his hand and 2 short swords flew out toward the 2 centipedes. Popping sounds echoed as the sword energy swept by, and the 2 retreating centipedes collapsed. All 7 centipedes had died and Wang Lin's restrictions closed in. There were nothing blocking them now. They completely surrounded the jade, making it so it could no longer escape. All of Wang Lin's spells were enough to kill a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Although he had killed the 7 centipedes, the jade wasn't damaged at all. The more Wang Lin looked at the jade, the more extraordinary it seemed. It had to be some powerful magic treasure. When he searched for a path where he could live, the last thing he saw was Lu Jinbiao. He was now sure that his survival had to do with this jade. As the restrictions closed in, Wang Lin closed in toward the jade and his right hand reached toward it. However, at this moment, A fierce aura came from inside the jade. Black mist came out from the jade once more, and a 10,000-foot centipede came out. Wang Lin was too close, and the centipede was right next to him. It opened its mouth to spit out poison mist and tried to devour Wang Lin. At the same time, Liu Jinbiao's expression became hideous, and he roared, "Jade, devour him!" He is a Nirvana Shatterer old monster, so he must have a lot of treasures and origin crystals. Devour him. I don't want any, I will give it all to you. When the centipede was closing in, Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all. With his mental fortitude, how could he not be on guard against this strange jade? As the centipede closed in, Wang Lin opened his mouth and roared. Roar! This wasn't the roar of a cultivator, but the roar of an ancient god. The roar of an almost star-royal ancient god. This roar shook the heavens. It was as if a hole was going to be torn in the sky. The earth trembled and countless mountains collapsed in the distance. Rivers flowed in reverse and roared. The roar of an ancient god, adding on Wang Lin's cultivation, could directly shatter any Nirvana Cleanser cultivator, destroy the body of an early-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, and damage the soul of any mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. It could cause a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator lose all their senses. Even peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivators would be injured at such close range, and their ears would buzz. The 10,000-foot centipede let out a miserable roar before it could even devour. It was as if a violent gust of wind had hit it, or a carriage that weighed 1,000,000 kilograms had smashed into it. With a thunderous bang, the centipede's body collapsed and completely disintegrated. The tragic hiss before its death still echoed in the world. After losing the centipede, the light from the jade dissipated, but a faint, gentle light surrounded the jade. It unexpectedly didn't mix with any of the world's light. It was as if it was something that didn't belong to this world. Wang Lin's right hand reached out and grabbed the jade. The moment he held the jade, there was a roar inside Wang Lin's mind. An indescribable force came out of the jade and rushed into his body. It swept through his origin soul, and the heaven-defying bed released a light that seemed to resonate with the jade. As this light resonated, the jade in Wang Lin's hand suddenly disappeared, entering his body. It appeared in his origin soul next to the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead sucked the jade in. At this instant, the heaven-defying bead suddenly collapsed and disappeared inside his origin soul, as if it had never existed. But Wang Lin could clearly feel the existence of the heaven-defying bead. At this moment, he even felt like he had become the heaven-defying bead. This feeling was very vague, but Wang Lin didn't have time to think about it, because the moment it disappeared, his mind trembled. Memories that didn't belong to him appeared. Inside the memory, it was completely dark, and a jade was buried in the earth. After countless years, there was no change, until one day the soil loosened and 8 small centipedes arrived next to it. As if the jade had granted them intelligence, they began to absorb the jade's aura. Time slowly passed and countless years went by. As the 8 centipedes absorbed from the jade, they began to emit the aura of cultivators. On a certain day, the 8 centipedes' bodies trembled, and they died. But the origin souls they had cultivated entered the jade. They became treasure spirit-like beings. However, they were made by an external force and couldn't control the jade. They could only use 1/1/0th of its power. Countless years passed. The earth trembled once more, and the originally buried jade was exposed to the surface. An old man with a bruised face was fleeing in panic. There were faint sounds of cursing coming from behind the old man, shouting things like crook and cheater. While the old man was escaping, his injuries seemed to worsen, and he coughed out blood. The blood accidentally fell on the jade and it shined, allowing the escaping old man to notice it. The old man picked up the jade. After taking a look, he immediately fled. Wang Lin suddenly awakened. Although it seems this vision took long, it was only half a breath of time. However, outsiders wouldn't be able to see anything. Liu Jinbiao stared at Wang Lin and saw the jade disappear from Wang Lin's hand. He felt pain in his mind as his connection with the jade was cut off. However, compared to his life, this jade was considered nothing. Liu Jinbiao's eyes were filled with fear as he knelt down and began to howl. "Senior, forgive me. Senior, forgive me. Junior has never killed and only occasionally cheats and frightens others. At best, I have taken some possessions, but I've never killed anyone. My sin is not worth death. My sin is not worth death, Senior." Please let me go, Senior. Junior will never cheat again and will be a good person. I'll never cheat again. This Lu Jin Biao continued to kowtow. He was scared out of his wits of Wang Lin and began to plead. This jade is too shocking. 8 ordinary centipede were able to cultivate to almost the Nirvana Shatterer stage. This Liu Jinbiao was able to do as he wished across the cloud sea. He has cheated countless people but was never seen through. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He didn't want to listen to Liu Jinbiao talk. He waved his sleeves and immediately put Liu Jinbiao into his storage space. This person's crime is indeed not worthy of death. He has cheated for many years, but that has nothing to do with me. However, he tried to cheat the origin sect, so he must be punished. Shu Li Guo, you always complain you re lonely, so I give this person to you. Teach him a good lesson or two. Wang Lin's divine sense fell on Shu Li Guo, who hadn't come out in a long time. Shu Li Guo was depressed and had been cursing in his heart over the past hundreds of years. He missed the beauties, and he especially thought of the evil he had done in Al-Heaven. He constantly yearned for it again. While feeling lonely, he suddenly heard Wang Lin's message and saw Liu Jinbiao fall into the storage space. His eyes filled with excitement. He almost roared in excitement. Master, rest assured, little Shu will definitely teach this guy a good lesson and let him know my strength. Shu Liguo excitedly rubbed his hands and revealed an evil smile. He slowly approached the old man called Liu Jinbiao. The fear in Liu Jinbiao's eyes became even stronger, causing Shu Liguo's eyes to shine. Damn it, how long has your grandpa Shu been lonely for? How many years, Today, God finally noticed me and let you offend that fiend. Good job! Shu Liguo pounced at Liu Jinbiao while laughing. No matter how you listened, that laughter contained evil intent. The end of the month is here. Wishing for the like button for the video. Brothers, do you still have likes for the video? Chapter 1269. Without a home. 1. Wang Lin floated in the air and began to ponder. The key to his chance to survive was this jade form Liu Jinbiao. However, the jade had unexpectedly disappeared, and the heaven-defying bead had disappeared along with it. This change caught Wang Lin off guard. He was puzzled, and there was also a faint sense of uneasiness within him. The chance of survival has something to do with the jade, but now both the jade and heaven-defying bead have disappeared. How do I resolve this issue? Wang Lin frowned as he returned to the origin sect. Inside the origin sect, Lu Yanfei and others were waiting for Wang Lin. They immediately greeted Wang Lin when he arrived, but Wang Lin was pondering and only barely nodded. The jade Liu Jinbiao had sent out had become a normal jade and lacked the aura of a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. This jade was quite simple. Liu Jinbiao had simply taken the centipede's aura from the jade, so it had real Nirvana Shatterer aura and revealed no flaws. Now that all 8 centipedes were dead, the aura had disappeared and the jade had become an ordinary object. Lu Yanfei looked at Wang Lin and softly said, "Uncle teacher, my origin sect has sorted everything and can leave at any time." Wang Lin silently pondered and looked at the origin sect. He still had some feelings for this place. This was where he had spent his first period of time in the Cloud Sea, and where he got his identity in the Cloud Sea. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin slowly said, "You all go first. I still have some other matters to deal with. If there is a chance, I'll find you all at the rank sect." There was a hint of gloominess in Lu Yanfei's eyes, but she understood that with Wang Lin's cultivation level, there was no way he would stay at the small origin sect. She just didn't expect he to leave this soon. Biting her lower lip, Lu Yanfei bowed respectfully at Wang Lin. She wanted to say something, but in the end didn't, letting out a sigh in her heart. She took the people of the origin sect and left through the transfer array. Every single origin sect member respectfully bowed at Wang Lin before leaving. Looking at these origin sect disciples leave, Wang Lin took a deep breath. He sat down in the empty square as he looked up at the sky with a cold gaze. Every future I saw resulted in death. Even if I leave with the origin sect to the rank region, it will be the same. Even if I escape now, it would still be the same. I, Wang Lin, have spent my entire life as a heaven-defying cultivator. Since there is no path, then I must struggle to make one. Third step cultivator if I don't die to this calamity. One day, I'll make third step cultivators bow before me. Wang Lin's eyes became even colder. He waved his right hand, and his storage space appeared. 2 short swords came out. He had obtained them in the 7-colored realm. There was a seal on each of them, and he hadn't had the time to open them. Now that he was facing a crisis, he decided to open them by force to add to his strength. While Wang Lin was preparing for the life and death calamity, far away, in the rank region, in the heaven-breaking steppe, Li Qianmei was trapped by a formation set by 3 elders. Li Qianmei looked at her teacher and softly said, "Teacher, you don't want Qianmei to leave? Can you give Qianmei a reason?" Li Qianmei's teacher, the heaven-breaking sect's sect master, remained silent. It was as if he had lost all life and only left behind a body. Li Qianmei lowered her head and opened her mouth. "Teacher, Qianmei grew up by your side, and you taught me to cultivate." With the battle going on at the demon sect, Qianmei asked for nothing more than to go back to the battlefield. Li Qianmei's teacher pondered a bit and said with a hoarse voice, "Teacher has already sent a message to the demon sect. You will go back in 3 months. There's no need to rush." Li Qianmei's eyes narrowed as she looked at her teacher. Her mind trembled. She had tried to understand why her teacher was doing this, and he had even called out 3 elders. After all, with her cultivation level, there was no need to call 3 elders. These 3 elders were apparently playing the role of surveillance and witnesses. They were monitoring. Li Qianmei's face immediately became a bit pale. She originally thought that the 3 elders were not here to watch her, but her teacher. Originally, she thought her teacher was doing this because she had left the battlefield at the demon sect. However, seeing how her teacher had told her to return to the demon sect in 3 months, it seemed like this matter had nothing to do with the demon sect. What matter made teacher act like this? Li Qianmei felt shock. She wasn't worried about herself, but for some reason, Wang Lin's figure appeared in her heart. "Teacher, what did Qianmei do for you to force me to stay here for 3 months?" Li Qianmei raised her head. Her eyes were filled with determination as she looked at her teacher. Li Qianmei's teacher let out a sigh before looking at his most important and beloved disciple. There was kindness and complication in his eyes. After a long time, he slowly said, "You." Before he could finish speaking, one of the 3 elders clasped his hands and said, "I asked the sect master to think twice. I know what I'm knowing." Li Qianmei's teacher, the heaven-breaking sect's sect master, coldly looked at the elder that had spoken up. "Li Qianmei, do you know a person named Lu Zihao?" The heaven-breaking sect master's gaze landed on Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei's expression was neutral, but a huge wave was set off in her mind. "I know this person. Teacher once made me go to the rank region to find senior brother Sima's jade and relic. On the way, Qianmei met this Lu Zihao." The sect master looked profoundly at Li Qianmei and slowly said, "That is the reason I am keeping you here for 3 months. Li Qianmei silently pondered as a force gathered inside her weak body. She would leave the demon sect for Wang Lin. Now that she had heard her teacher's words, with her intelligence, she immediately felt a life-and-death crisis descend on Wang Lin. This danger was so great, not even her teacher could do anything but call her back. Although it looked like she was trapped here, it was actually for her own protection. While pondering, Li Qianmei's expression gradually calmed down, but a sense of determination and bitterness filled her body. She slowly stood up. Just as she stood up, the expressions of the 3 elders became cold. One of them shouted, "Li Qianmei, what are you doing?" "Teacher, Qianmei is an orphan, and you raised me. You gave me kindness, you taught me how to be an adult. Although I call you teacher, in Qianmei's heart, you read like a father." Li Qianmei's voice was calm, but filled with sincere gratitude. She looked at her teacher as she slowly knelt down and kowtowed once. "Teacher, if Qianmei has another life, I'll die 10,000 times to repay it." Li Qianmei's teacher's mind trembled. He looked at Li Qianmei, and his gaze became even more complicated. He had raised Li Qianmei from a young age, so he understood her personality very well. "You taught me cultivate and helped me refine pills, allowing Qianmei to reach the Nirvana Shatterer stage in just 1,000 years. Qianmei knows that you used a large amount of resources from the sect, even provoking some elders. They were not happy with you, teacher? I can't forget this kindness. If there is another life, even if I become a cattle or a horse, I'll still repay you." Li Qianmei kowtowed a second time. She couldn't repay her teacher's kindness. Qianmei also knows that these elders always suspected that Qianmei was from a foreign clan due to the color of my hair. Because they suspected I am not from the same clan, they were dissatisfied that you spent a large amount of the sect S pills on me. They were even unhappy that you taught me Tao. However, you didn't care about this, and you have been gentle with me like a father. You even helped me refine pills to consolidate my foundation at the expense of your own origin soul. How can Xianxia repay you? The end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video. Don't hold back, it's expiring. Chapter 1270, Without a Home. 2. Tears fell from the corners of her eyes. She rarely cried in her life. Even when she was ridiculed as a child, even when she felt like she was the only person in the world, she rarely shed tears. However, at this moment, she cried. While crying, Xianxia kowtowed a third time toward her teacher. Even if Xianxia dies, I want to forget all this kindness, but now, Xianxia has to leave. Xianxia raised her head and let tears flow down her cheeks. Is he worth you going? Xianxia's teacher looked at the girl he'd raised. In his heart, he considered her his own daughter. She looked at the teacher that was like a father in her heart. There is someone else in his heart. That woman is engraved deeply within his heart, and no one can replace her disciple. Doesn't he know what her feelings for him is? I don't know clearly. However, in 100 years of time, for some unknown reason, his shadow has always been here. As if in a previous life, I was a fish under the water and he was a bird in the sky. I don't know even disciple understands that his heart will not accept another person, but this can be measured by worth it or not. I only know that if I know everything and don't to go, I'll never be happy. Xianxia's voice was calm, but tears seemed to rise up. Xianxia's teacher silently pondered, and after a long time, he slowly said, the rank 8 sect competition was cancelled by the God sect. This sentence shook Xianxia's body. As a disciple of a rank 9 sect, she naturally knew that the only ones that could cancel the rank 8 sect competition was the God sect. Xianxia's teacher softly said, the people of the God sect have been investigating Lu Zihao ever since he appeared. Do you still want to go? The bitterness on Xianxia's face became even stronger, but her determination also became stronger. She looked at her teacher and nodded. I want to go. An ordinary person can make the God sect stop the rank 8 sect competition. This order was issued by the God sect's head elder. Taoist water. Can you do anything before Taoist water? Can you stop him? Forget you, even if my entire heaven-breaking sect went, would it be any help? Xianxia's teacher closed his eyes. Xianxia bit her lower lip until blood came out. The determination in her eyes didn't lessen but became even stronger. Disciple can stop him, but I still have to go. Teacher, let me leave. Disciple must go. I knew your personality. That's why, after learning of this matter, I made you come back. There's no more need to talk about this. Cultivate here in peace for 3 months, and after 3 months you can leave. Xianxia's teacher closed his eyes. He seemed to have made a decision. Xianxia's face revealed dense bitterness and seemed to have lost all color. A sharp pain came from her heart, so painful that it felt like it was going to drown her. Her body trembled and she subconsciously took a few steps back. She coughed out a mouthful of blood, and her face immediately turned pale. Seeing Xianxia cough out blood, the determination in her teacher's eyes immediately collapsed and he revealed a complicated look. Reveal character. Teacher, you can prevent disciple from leaving, but you can stop me from dying. Xianxia lowered her head. Her voice was soft, but there was a hint of farewell within. You Xianxia's teacher's eyes shined and he quickly lifted his right hand. A mark formed. The mark went through the formation and landed on Xianxia's body. This caused the chaotic origin energy inside her body to immediately become suppressed. Xianxia's face revealed a miserable smile as she raised her head. There was still blood on the corner of her mouth as she softly said, Teacher, you can stop Xianxia for now. You can stop Xianxia for 3 months. But can you stop me for my entire life? He still hasn't answered my third question. If he really dies, Xianxia will go the world he went to. I will wait for him to answer my third question there. You once told me as a child that in one's life, sometimes one needs an obsession and the courage to chase that obsession. One also needs the courage to struggle, to chase. If cultivators don't have the obsession and courage, they can cultivate any grand Tao. Xianxia's teacher's face was extremely gloomy and filled with pain. He knew his disciple's personality well, but he didn't think she would resist by trying to kill herself. He could indeed stop her for now, for 3 months, but he really couldn't stop her for her whole life. Have you thought it through? Li Qianmei's teacher silently pondered for a long time, and his voice gradually became cold. Disciple has already thought it through. Please let me go. Li Qianmei looked bitterly at her teacher. Once you step outside the formation, you will no longer be part of the heaven-breaking sect, nor will you be my disciple. From then on, you need to call me teacher, because once you step out, you will have no teacher. Think about it yourself. Li Qianmei's teacher waved his sleeve, and the formation around Li Qianmei collapsed. The formation scattered in all directions, and Li Qianmei was freed. The expression of the heaven-breaking sect elders changed greatly, and one of them shouted, "Sect Master, what is your intent?" Scram. Li Qianmei's teacher suddenly looked up and let out a roar. The aura of having passed through the third heaven's blight erupted from his body. The 3 elders coughed out blood and were knocked back. Li Qianmei, teacher is awaiting your choice. Li Qianmei's teacher's gaze fell on her. Although his voice was calm, she could hear a hint of trembling within it. Li Qianmei stared at her teacher, and the void in her heart became even bigger. It turned into extreme pain, making her heart even more torn. The heaven-breaking sect was her home, her teacher as her father, however. Right now she had to face a choice. The surroundings were completely silent as Li Qianmei revealed a miserable expression. She lowered her head and knelt down, kowtowing 6 times. Looking at Li Qianmei, her teacher's eyes revealed regret and pain. You can go. Li Qianmei's teacher turned around and looked at the sky. His heart seemed to be torn. Li Qianmei quietly stared at her teacher for a very long time. Tears flowed down before she turned around and flew into the sky in a daze. There's no more home, was it worth it? The confusion in Li Qianmei's eyes became even stronger. After Li Qianmei left, her teacher closed his eyes. The pain in his heart washed over his body. An elder that was knocked away roared, "Sect Master! Once Li Qianmei offends senior Taoist water and angers the God sect, my heaven-breaking sect won't be able to bear it. I must inform the God sect of this matter. If the God sect gets angry, you will have to pay the price." Launch I. Li Qianmei's teacher suddenly turned around and roared at the howling elders, "Scram, scram, scram!" His heaven's blight cultivation erupted, causing the elder to constantly cough out blood and fly back like a broken kite. With a bang, his body collapsed, and his origin soul escaped in terror. The heaven-breaking sect has been a slave to the God sect for tens of thousands of years. All of you have become like slaves. If you fear the God sect, then once Li Qianmei provokes senior Taoist water's anger, I'll bear all the responsibility. Li Qianmei's teacher waved his sleeve and disappeared. His voice echoed like thunder and spread out across the heaven-breaking sect. However, his voice couldn't shake the heart of the heaven-breaking sect cultivators that had been enslaved by the God sect for tens of thousands of years. Just like the fog in the clouds sea, how many people could see through the fog? Everything Li Qianmei had done, whether it was leaving the battlefield at the demon sect or cutting her ties with the heaven-defying sect, they were all things Wang Lin didn't know about. At this moment, Li Qianmei was like a woman without a home as she flew toward the rank region in a daze. She was already a lonely woman who had been an orphan since her childhood. Due to her blue hair, she didn't have a happy childhood. It was due to her strength and serenity that she had come all this way, however. Now that she lost her home, it was like falling into the abyss. The loneliness from her childhood filled her, making her more bleak and weak. It was as if she would be blown by the wind to some place no one could find where she would silently await her death. At this moment, in the origin sect in the rank 5 region, there were 2 short swords floating before Wang Lin, one white and one black. The 2 rays of sword energy crossed and created thousands of shadows. These shadows formed a vortex and stirred up the world. As he continued to refine them and break the seals, the 2 mysterious short swords he got from the 7-colored realm were slowly displaying their true power. As time passed, more and more black and white sword shadows appeared around Wang Lin. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, until 1 million. 1 million black and white sword shadows connected to form a sword that gave off a heaven-shaking sword hymn. A grand chapter. Not caring to read 4,500 words, can bear to split it into 2 chapters. As the donkey dies a martyr, tears flow wishing for the like button for the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1271. Awaiting your arrival. The sword hymn shook the world. The sword seemed to form a dragon that wanted to break the sky. A dense killing intent appeared in this world. This killing intent was cold like the swords. Wang Lin's figure became a blur within the endless sword shadows. It was impossible to see him clearly, as he was surrounded by the endless sword shadows. I didn't think they'd be able to transform into 1,000,000 sword shadows after forcibly opening 4 of the 9 seals. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and his eyes shined brightly. His gaze seemed to combine with the surrounding sword shadows and become part of them. The moment his eyes opened, all the sword shadows trembled as if they couldn't bear this pressure. It was as if a primal animal was about to charge gout. 4 seals already have such power. It seems I underestimated these 2 short swords. In this case, I'll forcibly open more with my cultivation. I want to let the person that wants to kill me know that I, Wang Lin, am not so easy to kill. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as his hands formed a seal and pointed at the 2 short swords. Those 2 swords, one black, one white, released an earth-shattering howl that was like the roar of the dragons. It was as if 2 dragons were roaring at the sky. The 2 swords suddenly moved and pointed toward Wang Lin as if they were going to rebel. Wang Lin let out a cold snort and the Star of Law appeared. As it rotated, the new law that was created appeared. Thunder echoed across the sky, and countless balls of thunder appeared and gathered. Also, at this instant, blue fire appeared around the 2 swords. A battle intent erupted. Wang Lin waved his right hand as he roared, "Fifth seal, break for me." Popping sounds came from the 2 short swords. In an instant, large amounts of cracks appeared before the 2 short swords and unexpectedly exploded. What appeared before Wang Lin was still 2 swords, but now they could only be called daggers, as their appearance had shrunk a lot. The moment the 2 daggers appeared, the sword shadows around Wang Lin erupted. 1.5 million, 2 million, until there were 5 million. 5 million sword shadows covered the sky and spread across the continent of Moluo. Even in the space outside Moluo, one could feel the terrifying destructive aura. What was even more shocking was that each of the 5 million sword shadows contained the power of thunder, fire, and battle intent. It was as if they would battle the world without the need to control them. 5 seals allows 5 million sword shadows. Good, then I'll help you once more and refine you 2 daggers with the blood of an ancient god to break the rest of the seals in one go. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his hands formed a seal. His face immediately turned rosy. Ancient god blood was filled with vitality and could dispel all demons in the world. He forced out a mouthful of ancient good blood and spat it out. It turned into a blood mist that surrounded the 2 daggers. When he coughed out blood, an ancient god shadow appeared within the blood. The shadows split into 2 and entered the 2 daggers. At this instant, popping sounds came out from the dagger and they collapsed once more. They collapsed twice in a row. A thunderous rumble echoed as the number of sword shadows around Moluo increased like crazy. 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, 9 million. In the end, there were exactly 9,999,999 sword shadows around Wang Lin. Just one more to collapse the world. Wang Lin sat there and began to ponder. 7 seals have been opened. Unfortunately, with my cultivation level, I can break them in a short period of time. Otherwise, from the looks of these 2 daggers, once the 8th seal is broken, they would reach 10 million. Although it's only 1 more sword, the gap is great. No harm. Even though I can open the 8th seal, I can still obtain the effect of the 8th seal. I am an ancient god, and an ancient god's body is powerful. I will be the last sword. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he inhaled. The almost 10 million swords immediately howled and gathered toward him. It looked like he was inhaling the world. Countless sword shadows entered Wang Lin's body. As the countless sword shadows entered his body, a thunderous rumble came from within him. He gave off a powerful killing intent that could shake the mind of anyone who saw him. Ordinary cultivators couldn't handle so many sword shadows, but it was no problem for Wang Lin, who was an ancient god. When he inhaled them, even his body turned silver. Gather! Wang Lin roared, and the almost 10 million sword shadows inside his body condensed and eventually gathered inside his right index finger. These two short swords are strange. When the almost 10 million sword shadows condensed in his right index finger, the sky became clear. The two daggers had become two strands of black and white energy that also entered Wang Lin's finger. Two illusory deer let out long hisses and circled Wang Lin's index finger. Eventually, they turned into two tattoos that imprinted on his finger. At this moment, Wang Lin's index finger could destroy the body of a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Even an ordinary pseudo-Nirvana void treasure was no match. If one touched Wang Lin's index finger, it would immediately disintegrate. What was even more frightening was that this index finger also contained the laws of thunder, fire, and battle intent. It also contained Wang Lin's strength as an ancient god. This one finger could shock even a ghost god. Even a Heaven's Blight cultivator would have to dodge this finger. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he let out a breath that fell on his right index finger. The two tattoos were hidden, and his index finger returned to normal. No one could see anything special about them. If I can catch that person off guard, then these 10 million sword shadows can definitely put him in a sorry state. Wang Lin looked up at the sky with a smile, but his eyes were gloomy. There are too many mortals on the continent of Moluo for the battle to occur here. It is the responsibility of U.S. cultivators. Wang Lin silently got up and turned into a ray of light that quickly flew away from the continent of Moluo. His figure was a blur among the stars, and it didn't take long for him to find a wild continent. In a flash, Wang Lin charged at the wild continent. With a bang, his feet landed on this wild continent. His powerful divine sense spread out across the continent. Since I can escape, I'll use this place as the battlefield. Wang Lin chose the highest peak in a mountain range and sat down. When I fused with the Ulcer's soul, I found out that there are still 7 more days until this life and death calamity. 7 days is more than enough time for me to prepare, Wang Lin muttered to himself as he raised his right hand and hit his forehead. 100 strands of milky white gas flew out of his head and turned into 100 balls of light. The world is ever-changing. Gather 100 avatars, ancient clan ability. After Wang Lin spoke, the 100 balls of light moved and turned into 100 Wang Lins. These were all avatars and souls. This was an ancient god spell Wang Lin could use after his 6th star had slightly recovered. As his hand pushed forward, the 100 avatars scattered in all directions and rushed through the star fog. Wang Lin closed his eyes, as if he was cultivating. Time gradually passed, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days went by. His 100 avatars all contained the power of an ancient god, and were all very powerful. In these 2 days, with his understanding of the rank region, his 100 avatars brought back 100 wild continents. These 100 wild continents were moved here like crazy and surrounded the wild continent Wang Lin was on. This scene was enough to shock all the cultivators in the rank region. At this moment, the area where Wang Lin placed the 100 wild continent had already taken a large portion of the region. From far away, it looked like the home of a clan from the ancient star system. These wild continents surrounded Wang Lin to form a giant formation. This formation used these continents as the frame and reached a terrifying level of power. The 100 avatars all returned and Wang Lin opened his eyes. He waved his hand and the annihilation restriction flew out around him and slowly rotated. Staring at the restriction, Wang Lin revealed a sneer. His hands moved like wind and didn't stop. Restrictions continued to spread out, permeating through the wild continent. They continued to spread until they were on all the wild continents and then connected as one. Creating this many restrictions had consumed a large amount of origin energy, but Wang Lin was half a foot into the Nirvana Shatterer stage and therefore could absorb endless origin energy. He also had large amounts of origin crystals and didn't hesitate to take them out and absorb them. He also summoned the woman in silver and ordered her to use the life and death restriction. The woman in silver used it without hesitation, and with enough origin crystals, her life and death restriction also covered the continent and synchronized with Wang Lin's restrictions. If this was it, A1T revealed Wang Lin's method. After he left the 7-color realm, he had begun studying the time restriction. Although he hadn't fully learned it, as the inheritor of the annihilation restriction and with his understanding of restrictions, he had grasped a bit. At this moment, he used it, and the time restriction started to appear. On the 5th day, the time restriction also filled all the continents. The power of time restriction depends on time. I have the flower time spell and can reverse time to help the time restriction reach a certain peak in a short period of time. The fusion of the three great restrictions has heaven-shaking power. Person who wants to kill me, even though you are a third-step cultivator, you 1T know all the things I have prepared for you. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. Big brothers and little sisters, do you still have likes for the video? Wishing for the like button for the video to help. Chapter 1272. The God-slaying chariot appears once more. Time was like a deadly knife hanging in the air that was rapidly falling toward Wang Lin. There were 2 more days. Now there were 100 wild continents around where Wang Lin was. They were arranged in a strange way containing origin energy, along with a hint of law. Wang Lin and the woman in silver had shrouded the continents with 3 of the great restrictions, forming a storm that could destroy the heavens. However, Wang Lin continued to suppress it, not letting it explode until the surrounding continents had been refined into a giant restriction treasure using the 3 great restrictions. Master Flamespark had borrowed the Thunder Celestial Realm fragments to refine a treasure. Although Wang Lin's materials weren't as good, this method was equal and even a bit superior due to the 3 great restrictions. If Master Flamespark were to fight Wang Lin now, he would certainly lose. These 100 wild continents gave off a powerful pressure, but Wang Lin continued to suppress it until it was hidden. He wasn't arrogant enough to think he could fool a third-step cultivator, but he wanted its power to condense to a certain point before it erupted. Wang Lin had rarely prepared this crazily in a short period of time in all the life and death battles he had so far. Every extra thing he prepared would be an extra lifeline in this struggle. This time, Wang Lin knew that a third-step cultivator wanted to kill him, and he had almost no chance of survival. If it was anyone else but Wang Lin, they would have likely already collapsed in despair and wouldn't have the will to resist. After all, it was a third-step cultivator, so all preparations done would be useless. However, Wang Lin was heaven-defying cultivator and royal ancient god. His pride, his dignity, his heaven-defying nature wouldn't allow him to yield. Not even a third-step cultivator could make him yield. I can die, but I will die fighting, not suffer a humiliating death. If you want to kill me, you must pay the price. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he had prepared for 5 days straight. He took a deep breath as his hands formed a seal, and then he suddenly opened his arms. As Wang Lin's hands moved, a bloodstorm spread out with Wang Lin as the center. In a short period of time, it spread across the wild continents until all of them were enveloped by it. There were large amount of fierce beasts on these wild continents. When Wang Lin moved the wild continents here, he didn't move the fierce beasts. As a result, the amount of fierce beasts gathered here was terrifying. The Tattoo Clan ancestor once taught me tattoo spells, and Ta Shan'an also secretly told me what he learned as well. Tattoos are refined from animal skins, taking the essence of the beast to form a tattoo. They have heaven-shaking power. However, this spell is simply too terrifying and requires too many lives. I didn't want to use this, but now I am forced to. There was a flash of red light in Wang Lin's eyes as he began a complicated chant. This chant turned into tattoos around him. They charged into the bloodstorm and in a flash covered all the wild continents. The fierce beasts on the wild continents all trembled and let out miserable screams as their bodies and blood quickly withered. Even their bones melted as the essence of their bodies condensed on a piece of skin between their eyebrows and formed a blood-colored tattoo. The countless fierce beasts let out earth-shattering roars that echoed across the rank region. All the cultivators in the rank region sensed this shock, and those with low cultivations levels even began to hallucinate as they couldn't control their minds. As the fierce beasts collapsed, these tattoos floated above all the wild continents, creating an astonishing pressure. This pressure was enough to destroy a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Their body would instantly collapse, and it would be difficult for their origin soul to escape death. 10 million swords condensed into one is the first counterattack I prepared for the third-step cultivator that wants to kill me. 100 wild continents fused with the 3 great restrictions is the second counterattack I have prepared for him. Countless Tattoo Clan tattoos formed by countless fierce beasts that could destroy the world will be the third counterattack. The endless origin crystals that piled up around Wang Lin all collapsed and dissipated as the origin energy inside was drained away. Even people at the Heaven S Blight stage would without a doubt die if they got hit by these 3 kill moves. But this isn't the limit of my 2,000 years of cultivation. Wang Lin had given it his all for this battle. He took a deep breath as his hand reached out and his storage space opened. A bolt of thunder flew out. The moment the thunder appeared, there was a roar. The thunder beast formed by the god-slaying war chariot appeared. As soon as it appeared, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and all the decorations Master Flamespark had added onto it collapsed, and it returned to the mighty form of the past. Roar! This thunder beast let out a roar, and its eyes revealed a powerful gaze. It had already gained intelligence, so it knew Wang Lin was facing a crisis. There are still several seals left on this god-slaying war chariot. If it was in the past, I wouldn't have opened them. But now I can. Wang Lin took a deep breath and blew forward. A gust of wind came from his mouth and landed on the thunder beast. The thunder beast trembled violently and released cracking sounds as if a mirror was shattering. Release all the seals on the second god-slaying war chariot. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened, revealed a cold gaze. As the wind fell on the war chariot, he spat a mouthful of blood that landed on the war chariot as well. The thunder beast let out a painful cry as its body expanded rapidly. The seals on its body rapidly collapsed until all of them were released. The god-slaying war chariot that didn't get to storm the celestial realm before it collapsed revealed itself once more to the world. As the thunder beast's body expanded, it became tens of thousands of feet tall. Its body quickly changed, its bottom half turning into a giant war chariot. Its upper body changed drastically as well, becoming a giant spear. This spear was connected with the war chariot and gave off endless thunder when it appeared before Wang Lin. A heaven-shaking aura exploded from the war chariot and onto Wang Lin's body, causing him to stop breathing for a moment. Even the earth began trembling, and the 100 wild continents covered by the 3 great restrictions also trembled. Now it is worthy of being called God-slaying. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he waved his right hand and the giant war chariot fell down on his left side. The spear gave off a powerful killing intent as it pointed at the sky. Wang Lin's right hand reached out once more and a 5-colored butterfly came out and began circling him. There was also a blood swallow accompanying the butterfly. This third god-slaying war chariot is the strongest. Even now I can open it all, but aside from the last one, I am confident in opening the rest. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal, and blood flew out and landed on the butterfly. In an instant, the butterfly trembled and even its wings seemed to stop moving. Then a giant cocoon gradually appeared around it. This cocoon was similar to when it became a butterfly. The moment it appeared, endless origin energy began to gather. Even Wang Lin had his origin energy rapidly absorbed. As it absorbed origin energy, the cocoon grew bigger and bigger until it was 10,000 feet tall. Wang Lin's eyes closed as he continued to take out origin crystals for the cocoon to absorb. Soon, the cocoon stopped growing in size, but the aura inside became more fierce. Time slowly passed, and one day went by. The cocoon that was floating there suddenly collapsed and created a powerful blast that blew everything back. Even Wang Lin was pushed back over 10,000 feet, but his eyes were filled with ecstasy. As the cocoon collapsed, a 7-colored war chariot thousands of feet large appeared. This war chariot didn't have a spear, but possessed 7 terrifying thorns. As the thorns absorbed origin energy, they gave off a 7-colored glow. It suddenly landed, and as Wang Lin moved, the 2 war chariots stood on his left and right. These 2 war chariots are my 4th counterattack. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time. If I had more time, I would be able to prepare a few more. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. There was only 1 day left. There was only 12 hours left. He predicted that in 12 hours, the person that wanted to kill him would come and the life and death crisis would begin. My last preparation will be to suck out the rust from the broken iron sword in the next 12 hours. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the broken iron sword flew out. Even if this iron sword was repaired, it wouldn't be enough to resist this crisis, and Wang Lin didn't intend to repair it as it was too late. What he wanted were the bloodstains on the iron sword. I can find any clue about this blood, but I can feel that it contains an unimaginable force. It is similar to ancient god blood, but at the same time different. It is even a bit similar to the Heaven S blood the Azura Dragon Divine Emperor mentioned. Wang Lin suddenly opened his mouth and inhaled. He swallowed the iron sword and began refining it inside his origin soul. Just in time to keep the manuscript. Tonight's update might not be timely. If there's no second watch tonight, Leo will supplement tomorrow. However, Leo will try his best to finish today. Chapter 1273. Arrival. A lonely figure moved among the stars, wearing white with a head of flowing blue hair, giving off a superb sense of beauty. Li Qianmei flew ahead with confusion and determination. There were still tears on her face as she bit her lower lip and flew faster and faster. There are some things in this world that have no logic, and one can only rely on their feelings. It doesn't matter whether it was worth it or not. It had to be done. She let out a sigh as she endured the sadness and bitterness in her heart. She flew even faster. Rank 9 region, where the God sect was, hidden deep within the fog, was a cultivation planet. There was a large formation here, and the center was a very gorgeous palace. Inside the palace, Mu Bingmei sat there as she stared ahead. Her beautiful face revealed an indifferent expression. "Why are you trapping me here?" Wang Xianxia was sitting outside the palace and frowned as she said, "Big sister Mu, it is difficult to violate teacher's order." Little sister is also very puzzled. Perhaps teacher gave this order because he wants you to recover as soon as possible. Mu Bingmei silently pondered. She didn't understand why the God sect's head elder was like this, and it gave off a strange feeling. There was a tingling sensation in her heart that she couldn't make out. It was as if something big was going to happen, and it was going to happen to someone she knew. At this moment, Mu Bingmei didn't know that the rank 8 sect competition had been cancelled, or that Li Qianmei had left the heaven-breaking sect. She didn't know that Wang Lin was facing his biggest crisis yet, his fate unknown. If she knew all of this, how would she choose? Time slowly passed, and Wang Lin still sat out on the wild continent. His origin soul had turned into fire under the 2 pieces of the broken sword, forcing out the bloodstains on them. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours until 10 hours had passed. After consuming all the origin crystals, he had finally forced out 30% of the bloodstains from the iron sword. This dark blood turned into a bean-sized pill that gave off a strange aura and floated around Wang Lin. Forcing out 30% of the blood from the iron sword was Wang Lin's limit. Even if he had more time, he wouldn't be able to force out more. If it wasn't for the danger forcing him into peak condition, he wouldn't have been able to force so much out. He then put away the iron sword and the woman in silver. He sat there and adjusted his body. His heart rate slowed down until it took several breaths for it to beat once. It was dead silent. The last 2 hours slowly passed. At the last moment, Wang Lin opened his eyes and calmly looked at the sky. At this instant, the star fog began to surge, and an unimaginable pressure slowly came out of the fog. He's arrived. Wang Lin's pupil suddenly shrank, but soon returned to normal as he coldly stared at the sky. That pressure was heaven shaking. The moment it appeared, the earth trembled and showed signs of collapse. At this instant, all the fog shrouding the rank region was suddenly pushed back. The fog moved like a wave, and the roars from the fog became even more intense. It was as if all the fierce beasts inside the fog were terrified. At the same time, a giant vortex made of fog suddenly appeared at the edge of Wang Lin's vision. A thunderous rumble echoed as a giant arm came out from the vortex and shot toward Wang Lin. The arm was very old and was filled with wrinkles. It was the hand of an elder. At this moment, it reached toward Wang Lin, and it seemed as if the entire world was going to collapse before it. The origin energy of the world seemed to be sealed by a strange force. None remained within this region. The speed of that giant hand was indescribable. The moment Wang Lin saw it come out of the vortex, it was above his head, reaching toward him like grabbing an ant. There were no words, no questions, no chance for survival as the hand descended. Wang Lin had encountered this in the 7-colored realm before as well. It seemed every third-step cultivator liked spells like these that would crush those they considered ants. It seemed like aside from other third-step cultivators, no one could make these people appear in their real bodies, much less an ant like Wang Lin. However, an ant could still bite, struggle, and resist. Not to mention Wang Lin had never considered himself an ant. Even if he did, he would still want to devour the world, filled with defying intent. The moment the hand reached down, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a frenzied gaze and he let out a cold snort. He leaped at the hand, like a meteor. Not even third-step cultivators can make me yield. The battle intent inside Wang Lin's heart ignited, and the star of law between his eyebrows rotated like crazy. The moment he charged out, he closed in on the hand, and when it reached at him, he let out a heaven-shaking roar. 10 million sword shadows. Wang Lin's right index finger pointed at the hand that was closing in on him. The sword energy hidden inside suddenly erupted. 1, 2, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. 5 million, 8 million, 999999999. Just one sword shadow short of 10 million erupted from Wang Lin's right index finger. At this moment, Wang Lin's right index finger became the last sword shadow, and the sword shadows reached 10 million, a level of completion. The moment that completion was reached, the shadows of 2 deer appeared and surrounded Wang Lin's index finger as it collided with the hand. This was the collision of a palm and a finger. It was 10 million sword shadows condensed into one. It had the power to kill all Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, and even Heaven's Blight cultivators would be shocked. This was Wang Lin's first attack against the person that wanted to kill him. A thunderous bang echoed across the world. This shockwave spread across the entire rank region and caused all the various cultivators to cough out blood. Their faces were pale and filled with indescribable horror. Everything in the world seemed to slow down. Wang Lin's finger landed on the hand at this moment, and the 10 million sword shadows hidden inside his finger erupted. The sword shadows rushed into the huge hand like crazy. The 10 million sword shadows carried Wang Lin's madness, unwillingness, and his spirit as a heaven-defying cultivator into the hand in an extreme fashion. The 2 deer shadows rushed out with the 10 million sword shadows and turned into black and white gas that entered the palm. Popping sounds echoed from inside the hand and seemed to replace all sounds in the world. It was as if the heavens themselves had stopped moving. The only thing left in this world was the scene of Wang Lin's finger colliding with that palm. The giant, desolate palm suddenly paused for a moment, and endless popping sounds echoed. If one looked closely, there seemed to be 10 million silver snakes moving around under its skin, causing the popping sounds to become even more intense. A thunderous rumble echoed as if the world was going to collapse. The skin of the hand burst, but, strangely, there was no blood, and not even a sliver of origin energy came out. The hand rose after the pause, and a soft exclamation came from the endless fog behind the hand. An ancient voice came from the fog as a powerful pressure suddenly descended from the sky. You have some skill. However, how can a firefly compare to the moon? You dare to rise into the air before me? Get back down! That pressure was extremely powerful. If a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator touched it, they would immediately die. When it landed on Wang Lin, he coughed out blood. It felt like a carriage weighing 10 million tons or countless cultivation planets were smashing into him. Popping sounds came from his bones as the pressure crushed down and he was smashed into the ground. He had no power to resist at all. However, Wang Lin had the body of an ancient god. After wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, he roared, 10 million sword shadows, collapse! 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 Wang Lin's voice was filled with a crazy amount of killing intent. He had been a heaven-defying cultivator all his life. He defied the world and would never yield. The moment his voice echoed, the 10 million sword shadows that had entered the hand suddenly trembled and exploded. The explosion of the 10 million sword shadows was impossible to describe, and a rumble that could collapse the rank region echoed. In a flash, a heaven-defying aura spread out from the hand. It was as if 10 million cultivators had turned into flying swords, entered the hand, and launched a crazed, self-destructive attack. The roar seemed to come from ancient times, shocking the world. This spell was enough to kill any Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, and even Heaven's Blight cultivators would be forced off in a sorry state. However, at this moment, the giant hand suddenly trembled, and a strange force appeared. The collapse of the 10 million sword shadows suddenly dissipated. The hand was left unscathed. There was only a red point at the center of the palm, and a drop of blood fell. Wang Lin's spells were able to destroy 4 fingers from Taoist Blue Dream. Now his power had increased greatly, and the power of the unsealed swords were not ordinary. In Wang Lin's first exchange with Taoist water, Wang Lin coughed out blood. Intense pain came from his bones. His body felt like it was being torn apart, and he was smashed down from the sky. However, Taoist water was injured. Even thought it was only a small wound, he was still injured. reading so much. Besides, the golden keyboard is active. I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last 3. Chapter 1274. Expression changed. A third-step cultivator that wanted to kill a small Nirvana Shatterer cultivator has suffered a small wound from the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Wang Lin knew that if news of this spread out, it would be enough to shock everyone in the sealed realm and the outer realm. The third step was a legendary cultivation level. In the sealed realm, third-step cultivators were extremely rare. Even in the outer realm, they were extremely rare. A third-step cultivator could sweep the world and would even dare to battle heaven itself. They were like the emperors among cultivators. All cultivators were like ants before them and could be easily wiped out. A Nirvana Shatterer cultivator could be a teacher in a sect, and a Heaven Blight cultivator could be a high elder. But before a third-step cultivator, they were all like ants that could be killed at will. This was strength. This was the cruel truth of the cultivation world. The law of the jungle. If Wang Lin was a third-step cultivator, Taoist Water would have been extremely cautious with his desire to kill him. He most likely wouldn't have chosen to fight at all and instead would have invited Wang Lin as an esteemed guest. Then the two would sit down and trade for what they wanted. If Wang Lin was a third-step cultivator, he could be swept through the Alliance, Cloud Sea, and All Heaven. Even Master Lu Fu would be very polite and would show respect. Neither side would provoke the other. Strength was everything, and it was the key to surviving in this cruel cultivation world. I underestimated you, little ant, but the more you struggle, the more this old man wants to kill you. The ancient voice echoed throughout the world like thunder. The fog tumbled violently as a boy wearing a Taoist robe walked out. This boy had a head of white hair, but his skin was white and clear. When he came out, his gaze fell on Wang Lin below. Third-step cultivators rarely appeared in person, as they could merge with the world and create a third-step avatar anywhere. Only life and death battles between third-step cultivators would cause them to fight in their real bodies. But Taoist Water had unexpectedly come in his real body. This obviously showed his will to kill Wang Lin, but also showed how cautious and important he thought of this matter. He was worried that Wang Lin was really the reincarnation of his master. He was worried that Wang Lin had heaven-defying treasures. The moment the white-haired boy walked out of the fog, killing intent erupted from Wang Lin's eyes. He was waiting for this moment, waiting for the enemy to reveal their true body. I can think about that chance of survival I predicted. Or I'll have a fallback plan, and there one be that fierceness in my heart. As a result, I'll without a doubt die. Only by putting my back against the wall and throwing away my life can I obtain peak power. Wang Lin revealed a ferocious and crazed expression. He cut off all thoughts of retreat and pushed himself into a dead end. In truth, the moment the white-haired boy appeared, he was already at a dead end. The moment the white-haired boy came out of the fog, Wang Lin waved his hands and let out a roar. If you want to kill me, you will have to pay a price. As Wang Lin roared, he flew into the air once more without retreating. Just at this moment, the 100 continents around Wang Lin began to roar, and a bloodlight shined. Endless blood tattoos flew out. They completely filled the area, and it was impossible to calculate how many there were. As Wang Lin roared, the blood-colored tattoos flew at the white-haired boy, carrying with them the power to destroy the heavens. The howling was horrifying. Every single blood tattoo was formed by the blood essence of a fierce beast. They also contained Tao intent unique to the beasts in the Cloud Sea, causing the power of the blood tattoos to be far more powerful than ones refined in the other star systems. As they flew at the white-haired boy, the sky was dyed red, and a thunderous howl covered the sky. You know the Tattoo Clan's spell, but this spell is useless against this old man. Taoist Water's expression was neutral, and the moment the boundless tattoos closed in, he casually waved his right hand. Carefree Tao collapse? Taoist Water's voice was calm, but it gave the illusion that a god was roaring. His voice became more intense as it spread out like crazy. All the blood tattoos that collided with the invisible sound wave collapsed and couldn't get near Water Taoist at all. The collapse was endless, just like the amount of blood tattoos. A thunderous rumble echoed and the entire rank region trembled violently. There was a tearing sound as a spatial crack split the rank region in half. Tattoos, turn into blood. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and he spat out a mouthful of blood. This blood had a demonic glow, and the moment it appeared, all the blood from the collapsed tattoos gathered. In an instant, the blood before him gave off a bright red light and charged forward, breaking all spells in its path as it shot toward Taoist water. However, as the blood closed in, one gaze from Taoist Tao caused it to collapse. At this moment, the white-haired boy reached out, and one drop of blood stopped collapsing. It quickly flew into the boy's hand. The white-haired body held that drop of blood and swallowed it, then his eyes began to shine. He's not his reincarnation. The collapse of the blood tattoos wasn't outside of Wang Lin's expectations. His 10 million sword shadows were able to leave a small wound. However, now that the other party had used third-step spells, all other spells would collapse. The Tattoo Clan's spell was still a spell, so it naturally would have no effect. But this was exactly what Wang Lin wanted. As the blood collapsed and the tattoos were destroyed, the world was almost completely dyed red. At this moment, Wang Lin waved his hand and shouted, "Restriction Dao!" A restriction wasn't a spell. It was formed from a strand of aura from ancient times that turned into its own Dao. In particular, Wang Lin had fused the three great restrictions, almost reaching the origin of restrictions. At this moment, the 100 wild continents began to shake and rapidly rotated under Wang Lin's control, smashing toward Taoist water. Start creating now. Annihilation restriction, seal the world. Life and death restriction, seal the body. Time restriction, seal the origin soul. Three great restrictions as one, seal. Seal, seal, seal your world, seal your body, and seal your origin soul. Wang Lin pointed forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Aside from the wild continent under Wang Lin, all of the other wild continents circled around Taoist water, creating a formation. A powerful pressure appeared and crushed down on Taoist water. The restrictions on these 100 wild continents that had been suppressed this whole time erupted. The annihilation restriction burst out, forming a giant cage that trapped the world. The life and death restriction formed two auras, one of life and one of death. They surrounded the white-haired boy, forming the life and death restriction. The time restriction had reversed 5,000 years due to Wang Lin's flowing time spell. Now it erupted with an ancient aura that shrouded the white-haired boy's origin soul. As Wang Lin spoke, the three great restrictions suddenly erupted. Three great restrictions. Unfortunately, the fourth restriction isn't present, or it might have had some power. Taoist Water's eyes lit up as he waved his right hand once more. With a wave of his hand, the world collapsed. The carefree Tao collapse he had just used hadn't dissipated, and the wave caused its power to reach a peak. It could collapse all living things in this world. The endless collapse echoed like crazy, causing cracks to appear on the 100 wild continents, and in the blink of an eye, they started collapsing one by one. It took a lot of power to collapse 100 wild continents. It was something only third-step cultivators could do. However, although the wild continents were collapsing, the three great restrictions were absorbing the blood left from the blood tattoos. The restrictions formed an octagon and sealed the white-haired body inside. The three restrictions could seal the world, the flesh, and the origin soul, but they couldn't seal the soul, because they were lacking the last restriction to truly fuse into one. However, Wang Lin was very smart. He had used the blood of the countless beast tattoos destroyed by this white-haired boy to dye the restriction. This allowed it so contain soul and show signs of a deformed completion. The spell of a mere ant. Even if you use the blood to complete it, it is still useless. The white-haired boy took a step forward and no longer used any spells. Instead, he forced his way forward. He had reached the third step and had completed his law. Where there was law, spells couldn't stop him. As he walked forward, the world seemed to create a path for him. Even the fusion of three restrictions trembled as no spells could stop him. The time restriction broke first, no longer sealing his origin soul. Then, the life and death restriction collapsed, no longer sealing his body. Finally, the annihilation restriction dissipated, no longer sealing the world. Although those three great restrictions were destroyed, because they weren't spells or laws, the white-haired paused for just an instant. Make yours. Everything Wang Lin had done was for this pause. Wang Lin's pupils shrank, his hair became disheveled, and his eyes turned bloodshot as he roared, "God-slaying war chariot!" The spear on the war chariot formed by the thunder beast shot out as a ray of light toward Taoist water. It was powerful, and as it flew through the air, it split the rank region. After the spear, the 7 thorns from the 7-colored war chariot formed a rainbow that condensed and shot at Taoist water. At this moment, all law collapsed before these god-slaying war chariots. Laws couldn't stop them. The world couldn't stop them. No power could stop these two god-slaying war chariots. This was the real god-slaying war chariot. It had the power to slay the gods. Taoist water as expression changed for the first time. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. Chapter Closed Door Cultivation at a Volcano. From beginning to end, Wang Lin never looked at the young woman. The young woman looked at the direction Wang Lin disappeared to with eyes filled with confusion. The Mai Liang from back then would constantly bug her. Even when she'd yell at him or hit him, he would just not stop. She and Mai Liang grew up in the same village. Their families were very close, and their parents set their marriage when they were kids. Later, the two of them were accepted into the war god shrine. The more she looked at Mai Liang, the more she'd see him as a country bumpkin, so she became very disgusted with him. They were already engaged, but she hid this very well. She used the engagement to trick Mai Liang into going into the foreign battleground. She told him that once he comes back she would form a cultivation pair with him. But now, Mai Liang came back and completely ignored her. In regards to this, Shusi had a strange feeling in her heart. Adding on that sudden feeling that made her shiver, this huge contrast made her mind go blank. As for Wang Lin, he flew for a long time in this foreign country of Hao Fen. He stopped at a mountain range. According to Mai Liang's memories, this was a famous mountain range of volcanoes. Hao Fen got its name because of all the big and small volcanoes like this one. If they weren't being watched and sealed by cultivators, they would have already erupted. In the history of Hao Fen, there has never been a massive eruption of volcanoes. This has a lot to do with cultivators keeping them in check. After looking around, Wang Lin left and arrived outside a village. The village was currently very busy and the children of the village were playing outside. Wang Lin felt a wave of pain in his heart. After a long time, he slowly walked into the village. He found some buckets in a deserted house. After filling them with water, he quickly flew away. After returning to the volcanoes, he found a natural cave. He immediately sealed the cave and used rocks to make defensive formations. Only after that did he sit down cross-legged and began to cultivate. After doing all of this, Wang Lin's face was completely pale. He had sustained heavy injuries in the foreign battleground and his divine sense was completely shattered. He escaped with that sliver of G-Realm divine sense, and then, ignoring his injuries, used that sliver of G-Realm so it would be easier for him to leave and recover. After he started cultivating, he took a deep breath, closed his eyes to nurture his soul, and his thoughts sunk into his own consciousness. Wang Lin's sea of consciousness was a golden sea, but most of this sea was blocked by a gray fog. Only a very small portion of it wasn't covered by the gray fog. Thorns of black light were blocking out the gray fog. A 3-inch sword was standing there all by itself. Those light thorns came from the sword. Upon closer inspection, there were deep cracks on the sword. On the other side of the sea of consciousness, there was a white space. Within it floated a gray bead. The gray fog didn't dare to go within 10 feet of it. Inside Wang Lin's sea of consciousness, aside from those 2 points, everywhere else was covered in gray fog. Suddenly, the thick gray fog began to churn as a streak of red lightning flashed by. Wherever the lightning went, the gray fog would back away. Although Wang Lin's divine sense had completely collapsed, he was able to condense a sliver of G-Realm divine sense. This was a type of divine sense, but its quality was much better than Wang Lin's previous divine sense. Although Wang Lin's divine sense was large, it was nothing compared to the law of the world. But with just a sliver of G-Realm divine sense, he was able to resist the law of the world. That sliver of G-Realm divine sense allowed him to escape. Its power was clearly not ordinary. This red lightning was that sliver of G-Realm divine sense. Wherever the right lightning went, the gray fog moved out of its way. Even the golden ocean that was previously calm began to stir. The red lightning arrived next to the sword and entered it. The sword flashed red. The green sword immediately let out a hum and charged out, following the red lightning. The 2 rays of light charged through the fog, causing the golden ocean to stir. They arrived next to the bead, and the bead followed them as they charged out of the gray fog. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. His hands formed a seal, and he pressed it on his forehead. Suddenly, 2 lights shined from his forehead, then a sword and bead appeared before him. Wang Lin didn't even look at them. He quickly closed his eyes again. His red lightning charged about his sea of consciousness for a while. After finding that nothing else was abnormal, it returned to the golden ocean. The gray fog covered the gaps, and then the entire sea of consciousness calmed down and returned to normal. In the depths of the golden ocean, the red lightning rested there as it slowly absorbed the energy from the ocean. Wang Lin could clearly feel that his G-realm divine sense was growing inside the golden ocean. Although it was slow, Wang Lin could feel that if he continued to be alive, then in tens of thousands of years, his soul would return to what it was before. If that day really comes, then even the law of the world would be nothing in his eyes. He could go in and out of the world of decay as he wished. Wang Lin pondered for a while as he looked at the two lights before him. He waved his hand and 2 bags of holding appeared in his grasp. All of the magic treasures from the 3 bags he obtained were used to block the law of the world. As for the materials, he sorted them into 3 portions when he made the turtle shell formations. His divine sense entered a bag of holding. He took out a piece of black metal that was the size of his palm. This piece of metal was clearly a piece of armor. Wang Lin pondered for a bit. His current weakness was that his knowledge of materials was really poor. Like right now, he had 2 bags full of materials, but he didn't know what to do with them. He felt helpless. It was as if he had entered a mountain-filled treasure, but didn't know what any of the treasures were. This piece of metal was one of the few of the things he knew. It was a piece of refined iron. The reason he knew about refined iron was due to the secret exchange among the inner disciples back at the Heng Yue sect. He saw someone take out a piece that was the size of a fingernail to trade. It was an important material for making flying swords. He put away the bag of holding and decided that once he finished cultivating, he would spend a lot of effort on getting information on materials. Wang Lin threw the refined iron into the air, and the flying sword immediately moved and stabbed into it. A speck of green light peered out of the center of the refined iron. The green gradually spread until finally a beam of sword QI was shot out. Wang Lin bitterly smiled as he looked at the piece of iron. He was feeling depressed because didn't know how to refine magic treasures. This was the most he could do. Then, his thoughts moved, and that piece of refined iron quickly flashed and appeared behind him. However, the piece of refined iron was a lot smaller, and the edges were glowing red as liquid metal dripped to the ground. Wang Lin secretly let out a sigh. After the temperature of the refined iron lowered, he put it away in his bag of holding. Then, he looked at the bead's image and felt a connection to his soul. He waved his hand. After the bead's image landed in his hand, it gradually became solid. The pattern on the bead was still 2 leaves. Without a word, Wang Lin brought out the buckets filled with water and dropped the bead inside. Moments later, Wang Lin took out the bead and drank the water. Suddenly, he felt spiritual energy enter his body, so he quickly took out the other 3 buckets and dipped the bead inside them. Then, he stared at the bead to see if he could still enter the dream space. When he arrived inside the dream space again, he looked at the familiar scene. Wang Lin pondered a little and quickly moved until he arrived at the place Situ Nan's nascent soul was in. Situ Nan's nascent soul was still there, but it had shrunk to less than 1/10 the size of a normal person. Compared to before, it was a heaven and earth difference. The nascent soul was very dim, looked sluggish, and his eyes were closed. Next to his nascent soul were 2 faint lights. Wang Lin shed 2 streams of tears as he kowtowed at the 2 lights. Then he sat down and brought out the 4 buckets. He downed a large gulp of water and began to cultivate. Wang Lin's body didn't have a sliver of cultivation, so he would have to cultivate all over again from the QI condensation stage. But whether it was Wang Lin or Mai Liang's body, both had already experienced the QI condensation stage. Thanks to that, Wang Lin was easily recovering his cultivation. Time passed by, and in the blink of an eye, 1 year had passed. Although it was 1 year, 7 years had passed inside the dream space. In this year's time, whether Wang Lin was inside the dream space or outside, he spent all of his time cultivating. He had only gone out several times in order to replenish his spirit water. In the 3rd year inside the dream space, Wang Lin reached the 15th layer of QI condensation. He then spent 2 more years reaching the foundation establishment stage. In the last 1+ years, he finally recovered his cultivation and reached the mid-stage of foundation establishment. With just his G-realm divine sense, Wang Lin was the natural enemy of all foundation establishment cultivators. Wang Lin was even confident in fighting against early-stage core formation cultivators. He felt like he would have a 70% chance of killing an early-stage core formation cultivator after reaching the late stage of foundation establishment. Similarly, if he could form his core, then he would be the #1 cultivator in the cultivation union below the nascent soul stage. This was the power of the G realm. The relationship between the G realm and Wang Lin was like fish and water. Although the G realm was powerful, without any cultivation to back it up, it couldn't last. Only with increases in cultivation can the G realm grow stronger and last. The stronger your cultivation, the more of the G realm's power you can use. The current Wang Lin had completely fused with Mai Liang's body in these 7 years. There was no longer any discomfort, but the coldness coming from his body became even stronger. It was like a 10,000-year-old ice mountain that no one could melt. It's time to double the likes for the video, wishing for more likes for the video. Chapter 1275. The Four Void Realms. The god-slaying war chariots were refined by the well-known refining madman of the celestial realm. He was still looking for materials to complete them when the celestial realm collapsed. During that calamity, he died with monstrous regret. He had spent everything he had learned and cultivated on producing these war chariots. He didn't hesitate to travel the world to find materials and spend all his effort, causing his endless lifespan to rapidly wither. Near the end, he was white-haired and almost out of vitality. Even if the calamity hadn't come, he would have died after the god-slaying war chariots were complete. His dream was to create the strongest treasure in the world, to kill even the gods, to destroy law, and split the world open. His regret was left in the jade, and in the end it fell in Wang Lin's hands. Today, at this moment, it was in Wang Lin's hand that it revealed its terrifying power to destroy the gods. Even though Taoist water had lived for tens of thousands of years, even though he was the disciple of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, even though he was the head elder of the God sect, he couldn't have known about everything that happened in the four celestial realms, let alone a celestial that had made a heaven-defying treasure that could threaten third-step cultivators. It's not a nirvana void treasure. It is impossible to figure out its rank. What kind of treasure is this? The white-haired boy's expression changed. He was here to kill Wang Lin, and he was 100% certain he would. The only thing he was worried about was the heaven-defying bead. He didn't think Wang Lin would have this kind of terrifying treasure. There wasn't time for him to think as the spear from the Thunder Beast broke through the sky. It split the rank region in half and charged straight at Taoist water. There was no howling sound, only an indescribable killing intent. It was as if the spear had its own will. Once it flew out, it had to kill. After entering the third step, Taoist water had rarely used his full power to fight an enemy. However, at this moment, he revealed a serious expression. The moment the spear closed in, he waved his hands before his body. His right hand formed a claw and mercilessly slashed forward. Carefree slicing Tao. As water Taoist's words echoed across the world, his right hand seemed to form the strongest slicing Tao. As he waved, popping sounds echoed, and it even felt like the void before him was being sliced up. The collapsed void suddenly expanded in a jagged shape and spread out. The popping sounds instantly reached a limit and echoed across the world like a roar. It quickly collided with the spear, creating a deafening roar. This violent roar quickly spread across the rank 5 and 6 regions. Countless cultivators coughed out blood, their eyes filled with horror. The spear was surrounded by the jagged void. Thunder rumbles echoed, becoming louder and louder. The sound of friction spread out, and it was extremely sharp. When it entered Wang Lin's ears, it made him bleed from his orifices, as if his body was being cut up. Intense pain filled his body, and he quickly retreated while coughing out blood. Water Taoist's eyes became even more serious and shined brightly. He raised his right hand up and mercilessly sliced down. Carefree, cutting blade, destroy all laws. A thunderboom echoed and a giant crack appeared before Water Taoist. This crack had an irregular shape, as if it separated the heavens and earth. The moment it appeared, it shot forward. Everything it passed by was cut in half. In an instant, it closed in on the spear and mercilessly swept by. Rumble, 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 rumble. As the thunderous rumble echoed, the last wild continent Wang Lin was on collapsed into countless pieces. His face was pale, and blood was spewing out from many parts of his body. He was covered in blood. As for the spear, it trembled as the spatial crack passed and then was split in half. It was forced in half by Water Taoist's spell. After destroying the spear, Water Taoist didn't relax at all. His eyes became even more serious. After the spear collapsed, a ray of 7-colored light shot out toward Taoist Water. This was the third god-slaying war chariot, the strongest of the 3 war chariots. This bright 7-colored light was what Taoist Water was really worried about. He felt like it was somewhat terrifying. The 7-colored light was too fast, and for the first time, Taoist Water retreated 3 steps as he waved his right hand. The spatial crack swept by, and was about to cut the 7-colored light. However, the moment the crack touched the 7-colored light, the crack began to rapidly shrink. It took an instant for it to completely close as if it was never there. This sudden change caused Taoist Water's expression to change greatly, and he retreated a few more steps. His hands formed seals as his eyes lit up, and he spat out a cloud of fog. This fog was black, and an earth-shattering roar came from inside. There were 9 large and hideous ghosts inside. They immediately charged out at the 7-colored light and roared. Every single ghost was equal to the full power of a 3rd heaven-s blight cultivator. Forget the 2 carefree Tao spells. Just these 9 ghosts would allow him to do as he wished in any star system, rarely meeting any resistance on the way. At this moment, these 9 ghosts let out hideous roars and closed in to devour the 7-colored light. They trembled as the 7-colored light shined brightly. The 9 ghosts let out mournful screams and quickly retreated, not daring to stop it. 2 of the ghosts that were too slow were slammed by the 7-colored light. They immediately disintegrated into large amounts of origin energy and dissipated. Taoist Water's expression was gloomy as he retreated once more. His hands formed seals again as he used another spell. At this moment, Wang Lin's face was pale, but killing intent filled his eyes. With a wave of his right hand, the trident appeared, and his body quickly grew into an ancient god, thousands of feet tall. He took a step forward and threw the trident at Taoist Water. As he moved forward, his left hand formed a seal and pointed at the sky. Call the wind suddenly appeared, turning into black dragons. As the destructive wind grew, the black dragons turned into a heaven-piercing spear that charged at Taoist Water. Summon the rain also appeared. The raindrops turned into ice swords that shot out. At the same time, magic arsenal activated, and the celestial sealing print flew out from inside Wang Lin's mouth. Countless battle souls appeared, and a series of mournful roars echoed. They charged at Taoist Water under the lead of Master Void and the Alzer. Mountain Crumble also appeared, as Wang Lin moved forward and roared with his footsteps. Illusory volcanoes erupted one by one, releasing heaven-shattering destructive power. Taoist Water didn't care about any of this at all. The only thing he cared about was the 7-colored light that was charging at him like crazy. His hands formed a seal and he closed his eyes. He opened his eyes an instant later. The moment he opened his eyes, his gaze seemed to turn solid and landed on the 7-colored light. There was a bang and then a heaven-shaking impact spread out. The moment Taoist Water looked at the 7-colored light, 1 color collapsed. However, the other 6 didn't, and they closed in like crazy. Water Taoist closed his eyes and opened them once more. In a short period of time, he closed and opened his eyes several times. Rumble, 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 rumble. This no-name spell caused some of the 7 lights to suddenly collapse, leaving only 3 colors. It was now only 100 feet away. With its speed, it couldn't even be described as an instant. At this moment of danger, Taoist Water's eyes revealed a strange light, and her said, "Stop spell." The moment those words appeared, he stopped the heavens, he stopped the earth, he stopped all laws, he stopped all movement, he stopped all spells, and he stopped all living things. At this instant, all the spells Wang Lin had used paused in the void. Even his body stopped. His eyes were filled with shock. All the origin energy inside his body seemed to have stopped, and he wasn't able to move even an inch. The only 3 colors left, red, yellow, and blue, released a thunderous rumble as if someone was pulling the reins on countless wild horses. They struggled fiercely before they completely stopped 30 feet before Taoist Water. What a powerful treasure. Unfortunately, there is obviously still 1 seal left. Otherwise, even with my early stage Nirvana Void cultivation, I would have been injured. Even more, this old man was forced to use the stop spell. Lu Zihao, for you to be able to do this, you can be considered a heavenly genius. Nirvana Void, Spirit Void, Arcane Void, and Void Tribulent. The 3rd step has 4 realms. Only after reaching the spirit void stage would I not be injured by this treasure once completely activated. Taoist Water's eyes lit up. This god-slaying god chariot shocked him a bit. If not for the fact that he knew a spell that didn't belong to this world, it might have been an issue. Although he wouldn't have died, he would suffered injuries before he could kill this Lu Zihao. And as a third-step cultivator, to suffer the counterattack of an ant was a disgrace. You don't have the right to use this treasure, so this old man will take it. Taoist Water waved his sleeves and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. The moment it appeared, it rushed out and devoured the red, yellow, and blue rays of light. The cultivation level difference between the two was like an uncrossable gully. Wang Lin looked at all of this, stunned, but there was an unwilling flame burning inside his heart. I am unwilling. I still have 3 more killing aces. Even if I die, I want this person to pay an unrecoverable price. As usual, 2 chapters at noon, about 10 minutes apart, and 2 more at 8 in the evening, 10 minutes apart. If anything comes up, the other will be informed. Longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1276. Counterattack. At this moment, in the wind celestial realm, the endless wind continued to flow through the realm. This gave the whole realm a desolate feeling as the wind howled, and this sense of desolation was so strong that it wouldn't dissipate at all. Herds of mosquito beasts moved with the wind. They were the only masters of the wind celestial realm. In the deepest part of the wind celestial realm, there were 3 floating continents, and one of them was dark red. The smell of blood lingered in the air as countless mosquito beasts floated in the sky, buzzing. There was a stone human statue on this dark red continent. At this moment, the stone person's eyes began to move and opened, revealing his ancient eyes. A strange aura slowly spread out from this person, but, strangely, it didn't attract the attention of the mosquito beasts. It was as if this stone person didn't exist in their eyes. How can that Taoist Water kill a piece I spent so much effort to place? The eyes of the stone man shined and he let out a cold snort. However, by borrowing his power, I can see if that child is really the reincarnation of that old man sealed realm lord, or if the heaven-defying bead is really in this child's hands. The wind of the celestial realm became even stronger. A wisp of wind flew out from the celestial realm's door and disappeared among the stars. The vortex between Taoist Water's eyebrows devoured the 3 rays of light, and then he closed his eyes for a moment to absorb them. When he opened his eyes, there were red, yellow, and blue lights rotating in them. It was a shocking scene. His stop spell was very different from Wang Lin's. At that moment, he stopped the world, and he was the only thing left. All the spells stopped in the air, but strangely enough, didn't dissipate. It was as if without this white-haired boy's will, they would just linger there for tens of thousands of years. The spear formed by summon the wind floated in the air motionlessly. Even the destructive wind surrounding it stopped. The ice crystal swords formed by summon the rain stopped in the air. They looked like icicles floating in the air. There were still the countless battle souls from Magic Arsenal, including Master Void and the Ulcer. They all just floated motionlessly. Some of the many illusory volcanoes that had appeared before were previously giving off black smoke and magma had begun to flow out of them. However, at this moment, the black smoke was still and the magma had stopped. Everything had stopped, including Wang Lin, who was stepping through the void above the black smoke. Wang Lin was still holding the trident tightly in his hand. 6 of Thunder Celestial Bai Fan's triple celestial spell. If this Li Zihao had learned them all, it might have been a bit difficult to kill him. Even if he had just learned Dark Moon, Clear Skies, this would have been a bit difficult. However, compared to Dark Moon, Clear Skies, these are all mere tricks. Water Taoist shook his head and no longer paid attention to Wang Lin. Instead, he arrived next to the god-slaying war chariot formed by the Thunder Beast. His gaze swept the god-slaying war chariot, and he let out a cold snort. He raised his right hand and smashed down, causing the war chariot to collapse. The Thunder Beast was destroyed while still frozen. There are too many flaws with this treasure. Since I don't need it, I'll destroy it. Taoist Water was extremely arrogant and had a rather eccentric personality. He liked to destroy things other people treasured, provided they were useless to him. As a third-step cultivator at the early stage of Nirvana Void, Taoist Water was indeed qualified to do this. When the war chariot formed by the Thunder Beast collapsed, Wang Lin's eyes filled with sorrow. The pain in his heart turned into a boundless invisible flame that burned inside his body. However, it was all trapped inside his body. The grief caused 2 lines of blood tears to flow from his eyes. The god-slaying war chariot had accompanied him for a long time, but now was destroyed. The cry in his heart set off like a storm as he stared at Taoist water with a gloomy gaze. If I, Wang Lin, don't die from this calamity, I swear I'll kill this person. I must kill this person. I'll make him endure all kinds of torment before death. If I don't fulfill this oath, then let me be destroyed on the heaven-defying path. Taoist water's gaze swept past Wang Lin. His favorite thing to do was look at someone when their powerful treasures were destroyed. That look of anger made him feel powerful. It made him feel the dignity he had lost many years ago. Seeing Wang Lin's gaze, Taoist water felt even more pleased as he thought that Wang Lin was the owner of the heaven-defying bead and his master's descendant. While walking forward, Taoist water arrived next to the 7-colored god-slaying war chariot. His eyes revealed a strange light as he waved his sleeve to take it away. However, there was a flash of light and the 7-colored butterfly appeared. The butterfly flapped its wings and dissipated into specks of light. When it dissipated, the 7-colored god-slaying chariot became an ordinary object. The treasure spirit would rather self-destruct than be taken by this old man. Taoist water's eyes flashed cold as he raised his hand and smashed down. The god-slaying war chariot with the treasure spirit was torn apart. Now let me see if you have the heaven-defying bead. Taoist water let out a cold snort and turned around to look at Wang Lin. At this moment, it felt like the world was trembling and all the stars had dissipated. Wang Lin and Taoist water were the only 2 people left. His gaze contained a powerful penetrating force when it landed directly on Wang Lin. At this instant, Wang Lin's body suddenly trembled. He felt like his body was being torn apart. Even his origin soul and soul felt like they were being pierced. All the secrets in his body were clearly revealed before this gaze. The intense pain caused the veins on Wang Lin's face to bulge. His body strained and sweat fell down like rain. However, he couldn't make a sound, as all of it was confined inside his body. Taoist water swept Wang Lin's body inch by inch. In particular, he carefully examined Wang Lin's origin soul, and he gradually frowned. Nothing's there? Master said that the heaven-defying bead will merge with the origin soul, but his origin soul doesn't have the heaven-defying bead. He isn't Master's reincarnation, nor does he have the heaven-defying bead. Did I get the wrong person? Taoist water frowned as he arrived next to Wang Lin. He raised his hand and chopped down. A thunderous roar echoed and a spatial crack opened. It was Wang Lin's storage space. Taoist water used his shocking cultivation to easily open Wang Lin's storage space. His divine sense swept inside. If this storage space doesn't have heaven-defying bead, I'll search his soul. There was a flash of coldness in Taoist water's eyes as he searched Wang Lin's storage space. There are many low-ranked things, but all of them are trash. Collapse! Thunderous rumbles echoed inside Wang Lin's storage space. All treasures that were looked at by Taoist water collapsed into ashes. As he swept through, his eyes narrowed when saw Shu Liguo inside Wang Lin's storage space. This is an interesting sword spirit, but it is still trash. Under his gaze, Shu Liguo's body trembled, and he was about to use his flattery skills. However, before his could, the old man's destructive will descended. Just as the will was about to destroy Shu Liguo, Taoist water was suddenly shocked and moved toward Shu Liguo. He immediately locked on to what he saw, which was a boundless group of mosquito beasts. Although they were in another storage space, it was connected to this one, so Taoist water was immediately able to see them. This many giant mosquito beasts. Taoist water was surprised, and his divine sense swept once more. This time, he saw a coffin giving off a silver glow. There was a sleeping woman inside the coffin. Not everything inside his storage space is trash. He even has the lightning celestial emperor as heaven-avoiding coffin. This heaven-avoiding coffin is a good treasure, and is useful to me. Taoist water split a portion of his divine sense toward the coffin, and was about to take it, along with the woman inside. Just at this instant, Wang Lin's body trembled violently, and his eyes revealed a never-before-seen madness. His bottom line wasn't the heaven-defying bead, his ancient god body, or the secrets in his soul, but this coffin, the woman inside this coffin. Eh? Water Taoist paused for a moment and noticed Wang Lin's abnormality. There was a flash of mockery in his eyes. You seem infatuated. This woman must be very important to you. I originally wanted to take this woman's body out later, but now I'll take her out in front of you. Rumor has it that a body not taken out from the heaven-avoiding coffin correctly will perish completely. Let's see if this rumor is true. Taoist Water's divine sense moved and surrounded the coffin to open it. His divine sense split off into many parts, looking for the heaven-defying bead. Just as he was about to open the heaven-avoiding coffin, one of his divine senses trembled as it saw the woman in silver inside the storage space. The moment his divine sense arrived, the woman in silver opened her eyes and her gaze collided with Taoist Water's divine sense. You are even with Taoist Water's mental fortitude and status as a third-step cultivator. His expression unexpectedly changed. There was a hint of panic and his mind became a mess. While his mind was a mess, an indescribably powerful force erupted from Wang Lin's body, and his eyes became filled with monstrous killing intent. The moment Taoist Water was going to open the coffin, he devoured the blood he had refined from the iron sword that for some reason wasn't discovered by Taoist Water. Borrowing this destructive aura, his body rumbled. With this explosion of power, his imprisoned body gained some mobility. Seven-colored nail! Wang Lin let out a heaven-shaking roar. From an area in his storage space Taoist Water hadn't searched yet came a seven-colored light. The seven-colored nail shot out toward Taoist Water's divine sense. A thunderous rumble echoed and Taoist Water's expression changed greatly. The seven-colored nail was too fast as it pierced through his divine sense and shot toward the area between his eyebrows. Taoist Water was very close to Wang Lin. The moment he saw the seven-colored nail, his pupils violently shrank. Sovereign's seven-colored God Void Nail. You have this. Mid-month already, brothers. Do you have likes for the VIDE already? Don't hold back wishing for those likes. Chapter 1277, Rebirth. In this battle, Wang Lin had shocked Taoist Water many times. Now Taoist Water saw the strange meteorite that had charged into the ancient star system countless years ago and was refined by the Sovereign. This meteorite was composed of an unknown metal and was refined by the Sovereign for 10,000 years into 108 seven-colored nails, named the seven-colored God Void Nails. Rumor has it that this unknown metal meteorite was extremely mysterious. The Sovereign wanted to use a time spell to see where it was from. When he was about to succeed, a mysterious force interrupted him, and he was almost seriously injured. However, even so, because the Sovereign was so powerful, he was able to see a blurry past of the meteorite when he was interrupted. The world was born and turned into the ancient star system. Then it was split into the inner and outer realms. However, in this vast universe, it seems the ancient star system wasn't the only one. In the beginning of the world, the ancient star system wasn't the only one created. This meteorite seems to have come from another star system that was equal to the ancient star system, but is separated by an eternal gap. This was something the Sovereign said after he saw through time, and he didn't hide this matter but declared it to the world. Therefore, the seven-colored God Void Nail's reputation soared. All the powerhouses knew of them. Taoist Water had personally witnessed the Sovereign use them against his master. Taoist Water wasn't the main force in that battle, but when his master was studying the heaven-defying bead in closed-door cultivation, the Sovereign used an extremely vicious treasure refined with the help of the ancient celestial realm cultivators to injure his master. Then the three lords of the ancient star system and several ancient celestial realm cultivators began a life-and-death battle against his master. What the Sovereign used were the 108 seven-colored God Void Nails. At this moment, when he saw the seven-colored God Void Nail, he was shocked and quickly retreated. He was well aware of the power of this nail. If an ordinary third-step cultivator at the Nirvana Void stage had a nail pierce their body, they would suffer serious damage. These nails weren't made to kill cultivators, but to specifically kill third-step cultivators. This strangeness of the seven-colored nails was something not even the Sovereign had figured out. He only knew that the nails were strong against someone strong and weak against someone weak. The higher the cultivation level, the greater damage it would inflict. It was impossible to figure the strange aspect of the nails out without knowing the origin of the meteorite. Nirvana Shatterer cultivators could survive a hit from the nails, such as Sima, who had come up with a method of breaking free, or Wang Lin, who had a body powerful enough to force it out. However, it was extremely difficult for third-step cultivators to force it out. After reaching the third step, there would be a strange change in the body. This change was an increase in power, but also a bizarre change. However, this change was stopped by the seven-colored nail. The higher the cultivation level, the more difficult it was to break free from the seven-colored nail. This matter was very strange and couldn't be explained. Taoist Water was first shocked by the large mosquito herd, then he met the woman in silver. The moment he saw her, he immediately recognized her. The shock caused his mind to enter a rare state of chaos. While his mind was a mess, he didn't think a mere ant like Wang Lin could break free from his stop spell and use the seven-colored nail. All of this caused Taoist Water's expression to change greatly. The seven-colored nail swept through the strange space and rushed at Taoist Water's divine sense. After it tore his divine sense to shreds, it charged out from the storage space and headed directly for the area between Taoist Water's eyebrows. He was too close, so Taoist Water retreated like crazy, but the seven-colored nail was also fast. It appeared and released a roar as it broke through the world, appearing between Taoist Water's eyebrows in a flash. There was a thunderous bang as the seven-colored nail stabbed 1 inch into Taoist Water's skull. It rotated like a drill as it attempted to enter his brain and destroy his Tao. Taoist Water's face was deathly pale as his hands formed a seal, attempting to resist the seven-colored nail. However, he had underestimated Wang Lin once more. He wanted to take out the woman from the coffin and touch Wang Lin's bottom line. Li Muan was Wang Lin's bottom line. If Wang Lin was already crazy facing the life and death crisis, then when Taoist Water was going to take out Li Muan, he became insane. This kind of insanity was no different from being stabbed by the seven-colored nail. This was no longer a fight for his life, but something even more important. Under this insanity, there was also the blood from the iron sword that had fused with Wang Lin's origin soul. This was the blood of a 9-star ancient god, and also the blood of the heavens. When it fused with Wang Lin's origin soul, his body began to burn, his origin soul began to burn, and even his soul began to burn. It was as if there was an indescribable force erupting from his body. Popping sounds echoed as the stop spell around him collapsed. Wang Lin charged out with a roar as his ancient god stars rotated and his star of law appeared as well. Holding the trident, Wang Lin charged straight at Taoist Water. His eyes were red, and the red light extended several feet out from his eyes. Popping sounds came from his body like crazy. It was impossible to tell if it was his heartbeat or his bones colliding. Even Taoist Water felt shocked when he saw this. In particular, the monstrous red light coming from Wang Lin's body made his pupils shrink. He took a step back and his speed suddenly increased while retreating. What he feared wasn't Wang Lin's spell, but the red light inside Wang Lin's body. At this moment, all his power was being used to resist the seven-colored nail between his eyebrows, so he had no time to pay attention to Wang Lin. His eyes lit up, and the speed of his retreat could collapse the void. How could Wang Lin let him retreat? All his preparation, all his spells, and all his treasures were used to create this situation. If the enemy had time to resist the seven-colored nail and suppress it, he would without a doubt die. The moment Taoist Water retreated, Wang Lin charged out like crazy. The blood that he had devoured began to burn, and he was like a burning meteor. As he rushed, he threw the trident in his hand. His body trembled as he used all the power in his body on the trident. The trident turned into a vicious dragon that charged at Taoist Water. The seven-colored light between Taoist Water's eyebrows shined brightly and was rotating rapidly to break into his skull. However, Taoist Water was using all his power as a third-step cultivator to resist it. The dragon formed by the trident closed in, and as Taoist Water retreated, his eyes lit up. Even with the seven-colored god void nail, it says useless. Let me show you the gap between third-step cultivators and ants like you. There was indifference in Taoist Water's eyes as he waved his right hand. A portion of his power gathered in his right hand. I wanted to search your soul, but since you're looking for death, this old man will fulfill your wish. Carefree extinction Tao. Extinguish everything before him. Taoist Water's right hand formed a seal and pushed forward. This palm caused a thunderous roar and a blast of air gathered from all directions within 10 million kilometers. White lines began to form. If one looked from far away, they would clearly see that a giant diamond shape was forming within the 10 million kilometer area. The moment the diamond shape appeared, there was a thunderous roar and the diamond rapidly contracted. As it contracted, the shockwave became even more powerful. It was as if the world inside the diamond was separated from the outside, forming an unimaginable pressure. Taoist water wanted to use this method to squeeze Wang Lin to death. The diamond shape rapidly contracted and soon shrank from 10 million kilometers to 1,100,000, 50,000, 10,000. A destructive aura filled the area as the diamond shrank once more to 8,000, 5,000, 30,001, 0,000, 500, until it was only 1,000 feet wide. It instantly contracted from 10 million kilometers to 1,000 feet. This rapid contraction formed an earth-shattering pressure that could crush all existences in the world. At this moment, this powerful pressure crushed down on Wang Lin and the dragon formed by the trident. Destroy, extinguish, collapse. Taoist water retreated as words came from his mouth. The moment he spoke, the diamond-shaped lines contracted like crazy toward Wang Lin. It gave off a flash that lit up the entire star field and wrapped around Wang Lin's body. The power of 10 million kilometers of space condensed onto one person was the same as almost a dozen cultivation planets exploding. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the stars and shook the star system. At this moment, the rank 5, 6, 7, and even 8 regions could hear this thunderous rumble. Wang Lin's body suddenly collapsed under this destructive force. His flesh and blood shattered. Even his head exploded. The trident immediately shattered and let out a miserable groan. The soul of the trident died. Absolute power, the might of a third-step cultivator that couldn't be challenged, was displayed by Taoist water. From ancient times, no second-step cultivator could overcome a third-step cultivator. This was almost the same as the law of the heavens. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's bloated body gave off a demonic red light. Time seemed to reverse as the light gathered, and, like he was being reborn, Wang Lin's body reformed. Rebirth. This is impossible. Taoist water was stunned for a moment. Mid-month and it's been forgotten. Hoping for the like button for the video, tears start to flow. Is there still time? Chapter 1278 to 100 punches. The demonic red light surrounded Wang Lin's entire body. This red light came from the blood that fused with his origin soul. With the power of this strange blood, Wang Lin was able to reform his body in an instant after collapsing. Not even Wang Lin had time to think about this sudden development. He could clearly feel that the power from the blood was rapidly dissipating. It wouldn't take long for the power of the blood to completely dissipate. However, Wang Lin no longer cared about all of this. Now that his body had reformed, a crazy idea filled his body. He looked at Taoist water and charged out. As he charged out, his body rapidly changed, and he changed into an ancient god that was thousands of feet tall. The 6 stars between his eyebrows rapidly rotated, and the star of law appeared as well. At a glance, he looked like a 7-star ancient god. A crazed aura came from his ancient god body. At this moment, it was as if Wang Lin had devoured countless celestial ascension fruits. He couldn't die, he must not die. He had to kill everything before him no matter the cost. Roar! As Wang Lin roared, he was like a vicious spirit from ancient times. His right hand formed a fist and smashed down on Taoist water. At the same time, a complex chant came from his mouth. The ancient god clan didn't have many spells, but each one was extremely powerful and not something cultivators could understand. As Wang Lin's words echoed, a powerful vitality force erupted from his body. In this world, nothing could match an ancient god's vitality. Ancient god spell, life exchange. Wang Lin let out a roar and threw a punch. This punch was so earth-shattering that the void before him suddenly collapsed. With this punch, Wang Lin's vitality dissipated rapidly, and the impact in that punch shot straight at Taoist water. There was a thunderous bang, and the entire rank region was about to collapse. Wang Lin's fist collided with Taoist water's right palm. Bang! Wang Lin coughed out blood, and his body was thrown back, but he stopped himself after flying 10,000 feet. He revealed a mad expression and charged out once more. Taoist water's expression was unchanged, but his right felt slightly numb. He was using all his power to resist the 7-colored nail and had only split off a bit of power, but that palm was enough to destroy a peak nirvana shatterer cultivator. To exchange life for power, this is only a temporary boost. I want to see how many punches you can throw. As he spoke, Wang Lin had come again and thrown the second punch. As he threw the second punch, a portion of his vitality dissipated. His originally white hair was now gray, and the stars between his eyebrows were dimmer. The second punch arrived. The moment it collided with Taoist water as palm, Wang Lin endured the injury in his body and revealed a bitter smile. Even though he was injured, he threw the third punch, fourth punch, fifth punch, sixth punch. In a flash, Wang Lin threw 10 punches. These 10 punches wasted too much vitality. When the 10 punches landed, the shockwave spread and the entire rank region collapsed. Countless spatial cracks appeared in the rank region, and the cold winds swept the rank region. Wang Lin's hair fell, wrinkles appeared, and he suddenly became old. However, his eyes were still red and gave off a crazed battle intent. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo as the punches continued to fly at Taoist water. Taoist water's expression was still the same after the second punch, but after the sixth punch, he pulled his right hand back. He retreated a few steps and spat out fog. He used this fog to resist Wang Lin's remaining punches. Even if you have the body of an ancient god, you can withstand this kind of spell that expends life. To fight his old man with this kind of spell is laughable, Taoist water sneered. He had been able to hold off the 7-colored nail between his brows. No matter how hard it drilled, it couldn't break into his skull, but that heart-wrenching pain was still present. The sovereign's 7-colored god void nail is too strange. Fortunately, this child doesn't know how to properly use it. However, it is best to prevent any sudden changes. Taoist water let out a roar as he erupted his full cultivation in an attempt to force the 7-colored nail out. A majority of Wang Lin's vitality had dissipated from his body. He was like an old man who was near the end and gave off waves of death aura. The stars between his eyebrows were dim and wrinkles filled his body. It seemed like his body was aging rapidly. However, the fire in his eyes became even stronger. He let out a desolate roar and rushed out like a moth flying to a fire knowing he was going to die. How many knew that a moth flying toward a fire sometimes wasn't a yearning for the fire, but the determination to put that fire out? As he rushed out, Wang Lin's right hand formed a fist and waved. Thunderous rumbles replaced all sounds in the world as he threw the 11th punch, 12th punch, 13th punch, until the 19th punch suddenly erupted. Every single punch was the peak of Wang Lin's cultivation, a powerful blow from an ancient god, all in exchange for his vitality. The thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Blood came out from Wang Lin's orifices and he was on the brink of death. But those punches didn't stop, and even Taoist water was moved by this. As the rumbles echoed, Taoist water's fog resisted it all. Not only did it not collapse, it was about to devour Wang Lin. Unfortunate. If you can last for more than 100 punches, you might be able to injure me while I am resisting the 7-colored nail. However, 19 punches is your limit, and all the vitality in your body has collapsed. Without even me killing you, you would die in just a moment. Taoist water's indifferent voice spread out, but Wang Lin could not hear it anymore. His ears were filled with blood and he couldn't hear much. He was very tired and death aura had filled his body. A sense of the end filled his heart, seeming to want to take him far away from this cruel cultivation world, from all this pain. Even the red light in his eyes dimmed, and they were without light. However, just as the fog pushed Wang Lin, he suddenly raised his head and his dimmed eyes shined brightly. Cultivators like us never shrink from a fight. I understand, this battle isn't a battle intent, but the determination to resist even knowing death is coming. Wang Lin revealed a miserable smile as he took a step forward and threw another punch. 20th punch. After that punch, black blood leaked out of the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, and he began to laugh. This laugh was filled with the pride of an indomitable spirit that ruled above all living things. I, Wang Lin, began cultivating at 16 years old. The 21st punch flew out. The fog didn't stop and charged at Wang Lin. I entered the Heng Yu sect, killed Teng Li. The 22nd punch flew out, and the fog suddenly stopped. I escaped to the Sea of Devils and formed my golden core. The 23rd punch. The fog shrank and let out a sharp roar. Reached the nascent soul stage, wiped out the Tang family, shocked planet Suzaku, became the Allseer's disciple. Wang Lin continued to walk forward as he seemed to mutter to himself while laughing. This punch bombarded like crazy. The 24th, 25th, and 26th punches. The fog burst open and was forced back 30 feet. Yin and Yang stages, 3 realms of nirvana. I faced a lifetime of crisis, never yielded, and killed countless people. The 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th punches. The fog retreated as it roared even more violently. It was frightened and retreated in panic. I have killed countless people since then. It took more than 2,000 years of cultivation to reach where I am now. The 31st punch, 39th punch. I battled the heavens, battled the earth, and today I battled a 3rd step cultivator. So what if I die? The 40th, 41st, 42nd, 53rd punch. The only regret is that I can resurrect my love, since I will die with her. But so what? The 54th, 55th, 56th, 64th punches. The fog that was knocked back dissipated into the void. Even if I give up all my vitality, so what? The 65th, 66th, 67th, 75th punch. Blood spewed out from all over his body. He was now covered in blood. His body rapidly shrank, and he began to rapidly age. Stiffness filled his body, making his internal organs decay, and his vitality was all gone. In truth, at the 23rd punch, his vitality was used up. The remaining punches all came from the power from the blood that had fused with his origin soul. I walked through the world standing upright. If I die in battle, so what? Wang Lin's voice was hoarse, as if even his voice contained the taste of blood. It could shock the mind of anyone who heard it. The 76th, 77th, 78th, 84th punch. My vitality ran out and I am about to die. But the punches from this spell aren't over. Flowing time. Reverse time 5,000 years. Give me 5,000 years of vitality. Wang Lin looked up and smiled. After 84 punches, he continued to walk forward like a battle celestial, walking forward with the determination to die. There was nothing before him that could stop him. There was a rare sign of seriousness in Taoist Water's eyes. For the first time he felt like the experience this person had was not simple. As Wang Lin spoke, the collapsed void around him turned into a sea, then a giant stone door appeared. A desolate aura spread out and shrouded Wang Lin. The 85th, 86th, 87th, 100th punch. In this short period of time, Wang Lin had consumed all the power of the blood, all the vitality in his body, and used flowing time to gain 5,000 more years of vitality to complete the shocking 100 punches. This was Wang Lin's strongest 100 punches. This was his entire life. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 1279. Injured. 100 punches. There seemed to be no force in this world that could resist the 100 punches Wang Lin that had used his entire life to throw. These 100 punches contained Wang Lin's endless vitality, his 2,000 years of cultivation, all of his origin energy, and all the power from that mysterious blood from the iron sword. This was a pinnacle of Wang Lin's life. This was the strongest attack he had used with the intent to die. These 100 punches were Wang Lin. Like a moth going at the flame, these punches charged at Taoist water. A moth flew at the flame to put it out, to use its own body to put out this ancient flame. Taoist water's eyes became serious and were filled with disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The ant before him had managed to use vitality to punch 100 times. These were no ordinary 100 punches. They were created by the essence of his entire being. Brilliant! It gave Taoist water a powerful sense of danger. If it wasn't for the fact that he was using all his power to resist the 7-colored nail, there would have been no danger. After all, the power of the 3rd step was difficult to imagine. However, right now, these 100 punches shocked Taoist water greatly. Thunderous rumbles turned into an endless storm that swept toward Taoist water. Taoist water's eyes lit up as his hands formed a seal and he pointed forward. A giant vortex of water appeared before his chest. The moment it appeared, it shot out like a big mouth ready to devour. The heavens and earth are infinite. Water Tao devour spell. Taoist water let out a roar as the huge vortex began to devour everything before it. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The endless rumbles almost caused the rank region to collapse. There was no star fog left, as if a giant hole had appeared within the star fog. As the roar rumbled, Wang Lin's entire body was covered in blood. His heart beat weakly before it suddenly shattered. There was almost no light in his eyes. The collapse from the 100 punches was strong enough to destroy everything. Even someone at the Heaven's Blight stage would die. The shockwaves spread out in all directions and swept across the cloud sea. As the shockwaves spread out, all the star fog collapsed, all fierce beasts died, and even many wild continents collapsed. Even the rank region suffered the same fate. It was as if a giant hole was opened in the cloud sea. Wind howled from the hole as if a terrifying demon was going to crawl out. Under this bombardment and shockwave, popping sounds echoed around Taoist water. His hand continued to move and he quickly retreated. The water vortex was pushed back and immediately went back into his body. Taoist water as clothes exploded and turned into fragments. Even his hair was scattered. His face was pale and blood came out of the corner of his mouth. A third-step cultivator was actually injured. I underestimated him since Taoist water was injured. He could no longer suppress the 7-colored nail. The 7-colored nail, shined brightly arched, roared once more as it drilled in 3 inches more, breaking his skull. Intense pain washed over him as Taoist water coughed out blood. The blood turned into countless runes that turned into seals to seal the nail. Good, good. For an ant like you to injure me, even if it was when I was resisting the 7-colored god void nail, you have shocked the world and can laugh in the afterlife? Taoist water wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Then monstrous killing intent filled his eyes. He took a step forward toward Wang Lin and raised his right hand. His right hand instantly covered the sky and descended on Wang Lin. You can now die. Even if you are reborn, I'll kill you. Carefree reincarnation Tao. This old man will kill you in 100 reincarnation cycles. I want to see how you will be reborn. Taoist water's voice was like a cold wind. As he waved his right hand, he seemed to extract all the reincarnation law in the world and formed his own reincarnation cycle. A giant wheel appeared as his hand moved. There was a howl as it smashed down on Wang Lin. Once Wang Lin was hit by this, he would be destroyed 100 times, and there would be no chance for survival. Just at this instant, a gust of wind tore through everything in this collapsed battleground. Slave Taoist water, if you kill him, I'll kill you. An ancient voice came from the void and echoed in this battlefield. Water Taoist's body suddenly stopped. He suddenly looked around at the void and his expression became gloomy. Old fellow, you want to stop me? You were sealed by the ancient celestial realm into a stone. They trapped you for 100,000 years to refine you into a magic treasure. Right now you are borrowing the power of the outside star system from the mosquito beasts to survive, yet you want to interfere? You want to stop me? What qualification do you have to stop me? Taoist water let out a cold snort. He no longer hesitated, and his right hand slammed down on Wang Lin. However, just at this instant, the wind turned into a giant hand that reached for the reincarnation cycle that had appeared. Junior slave, back then you were only a slave before the Lord of the Sealed Realm and had to be respectful toward his old man. Now you have entered the 3rd step, but have become extremely arrogant. Even the evil ancient celestials couldn't kill me. They could only seal me for 100,000 years to refine me. You a mere slave, a frog at the bottom of the well. The ancient voice was calm as the wind hand grabbed the wheel and suddenly pulled. A sharp howl suddenly echoed. Taoist water's expression changed and his hands formed a seal. Then he pointed and shouted, "Stop spell!" The moment he roared, the hand formed by wind stopped for a moment. It was just for a moment, then popping sounds echoed and it broke free. It grabbed the wheel and mercilessly squeezed. The wheel collapsed and dissipated. Taoist water's pupils shrank violently and he exclaimed, "It's impossible. You have clearly been sealed. How can you resist my stop spell? I know you absorb the source origin from the outer star system. You can absorb power from the outer star system. You have some insight." The ancient voice let out a cold snort as the hand formed by the wind reached for Taoist water. Taoist water let out a scream as his hands formed a seal and pointed at his chest. His cultivation suddenly exploded and a giant cultivation planet appeared behind him. This cultivation planet contained dense origin energy and gave off powerful vitality. There was enough vitality to match a rank 5 ancient god. Endless mutters come from the cultivation planet. The mutters turned into a strange energy that entered Taoist water's body. His eyes lit up and he roared. 2 billion yin and yang disciples, Roar! Roar! Taoist water pointed at the sky and then quickly pointed 3 times at the wind arm that was reaching towards him. Every time he pointed, the giant cultivation planet behind him would tremble. The shadow of a cultivation planet would appear and fly toward the arm, charging at Taoist water. When the finger pointed 3 times, 3 large cultivation planet shadows shot at the wind hand. A shocking pressure descended in this void. Just like your original body, these 2 billion yin and yang disciples are neither male nor female waste. The ancient voice sneered. The wind arm didn't T-stop and charged forward. Rumble, rumble, rumble. 3 loud bangs echoed. The 3 cultivation planet shadows exploded into a destructive aura that rushed at the wind hand. The hand formed a seal that was also made of wind, and collided with a destructive force from the 3 cultivation planet shadows. A thunderous rumble echoed. The hand didn't dissipate, but it was heavily damaged. It rushed toward Taoist water and pressed down between his eyebrows. Old fellow, you remeddling. Your original body can come, and this is a mere avatar. Die for me, die, die. It was as if something had touched Taoist water's weak spot. He revealed a hideous expression and his right hand reached out. He pulled the giant cultivation planet and mercilessly threw it. This old man has gathered 2 billion water Tao disciples to worship for tens of thousands of years to create Joss flames for me. Today I'll destroy 500 million water Tao disciples to form Joss flames and kill your avatar. Then I'll go to the wind celestial realm and kill your real body. Taoist water let out a roar as the giant cultivation planet was smashed down by him and collided with the damaged hand. A loud rumble echoed. The moment the cultivation planet smashed down, a powerful force appeared. This was an energy unique to third-step cultivators. It was created from the collapse of 500 million water Tao disciples. The damaged arm immediately collapsed. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The ancient voice let out a muffled groan as he was injured. The voice and the wind hand disappeared. Old fellow, you coming to stop me means that this ant is important, which makes me want to kill him even more. Now that your avatar has died to the Joss flame of my water Tao disciples, who can stop me? Taoist water's expression was extremely hideous. The 7-colored nail was rotating between his eyebrows but couldn't penetrate more than 3 inches. However, the part that entered his skull had begun to melt, causing a hint of madness in Taoist water. Taoist water suddenly turned around and charged at Wang Lin. His fingers opened up and he closed in with killing intent. However, just at this moment, a shocking change occurred. A finger made of wind suddenly appeared between Taoist water's eyebrows and pressed down on the 7-colored nail. Taoist water's expression changed greatly and he stopped. Countless shadows appeared before him to block it, and he quickly retreated. You race still not dead. It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1280, 3 Essences. This finger appeared too suddenly, without any warning. Taoist water thought he had destroyed the other person's avatar, and his mind was being affected by the madness from the 7-colored nail when it appeared. This finger appeared at a heavenly opportunity. There was no better time for it to appear. It was right when Taoist water was defenseless. Taoist water's expression changed greatly, and his speed of retreat reached a limit, but he still couldn't dodge. The shadows that appeared before him attempted to dodge, but they suddenly collapsed. Rumbling sounds echoed across the world as the shadows were all destroyed by the finger. Finally, after destroying everything, the finger rushed out and pressed down on the 7-colored nail between Taoist water's eyebrows. An indescribably powerful force rushed out, and Taoist water screamed. The 7-colored nail mercilessly stabbed in. It broke through everything by force 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches. This nail was only 7 inches long, and now it was embedded 5 inches deep. Just 2 more inches and it would be completely inside, and at that time, Taoist water would be seriously injured, because this nail had pierced the spot between his eyebrows. It was a weak point for cultivators, unlike the shoulder where Wang Lin was stabbed. At this moment of crisis, Taoist water's face turned pale and fear filled his eyes. He was well aware of how powerful the 7 colored god void nails were. When he saw his master being stabbed by 94 nails, that painful expression was something Taoist water could never forget. "Master, save me!" Taoist water retreated, but the finger followed to push the nail in even more. At the moment Taoist water cried out, a powerful force came from within his body. This powerful force condensed on the back of Taoist water's right hand and turned into a charm. The moment the charm appeared, a golden light lit up the dark space and spread out. The finger pressing down toward the 7-colored nail was hit by the golden light and dissipated, releasing a hiss in the process. "Lord of the Sealed Realm, back then you said the slave that had helped you a lot, so you gifted this slave a charm that would protect his life 3 times. When he betrayed you, you clearly had 2 chances to kill him, but you let him go, wasting 2 uses of the charm. In the end, you died. Now tens of thousands of years have passed, and the 3rd use of the charm is being used. You were still going to protect the Tao slave that betrayed you. I admire your cultivation, but I disdain your ways. Your ideals are too inflexible." The ancient voice let out a sigh and slowly dissipated. Taoist water was soaked in sweat. At this moment, enduring the pain between his eyebrows, he felt a lingering sense of fear. He grinned and let out a roar at the sky. "Master, thank you. You still have to protect me after death, which makes me somewhat sorry about what happened. But you must die, you must die." Taoist water had been shrouded by the madness from the 7-colored nail, but he was suppressing it with his powerful cultivation. However, that madness had changed his personality. Otherwise, given his cultivation level and age, he wouldn't speak like this. "As long as it hasn't drilled all the way through, once I kill this ant, I can enter closed-door cultivation to force this nail out." Taoist water's eyes lit up. He no longer hesitated and charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were still open. He felt himself slowly walk toward death as watched everything that had happened. When he saw Taoist water charge at him, there was no panic in his eyes. Instead, there was absolute calmness, as if all the madness from before had been released with his vitality. Life and death, karmic cause and karmic effect, true and false, all of these are opposite existences. After life, there is still death. I have used a fist of life, but I can still explode all the death within me. Let us both die together. Instant create. I can collapse all my ancient god stars in exchange for one more attack at my peak. I can destroy my star of law in exchange for endless origin energy and split the heavens. Wang Lin seemed to become enlightened in something, and his eyes revealed a strange light. The death aura within him suddenly formed a vortex. This vortex could destroy the world, break yin and yang, and shatter reincarnation. Unexpectedly, there was a hint of essence coming from this vortex. This was essence. This was the most important thing to becoming a 3rd-step cultivator. Wang Lin was no stranger to essence, as he had obtained some before. However, he had obtained it from the battle scrolls. It wasn't Wang Lin's own essence, but an external force. At this moment of life and death, Wang Lin gained enlightenment in life and death. The moment his death aura erupted, he comprehended his own life and death essence. Even though this essence was very little, this meant that the door to the 3rd step had opened a crack for him. This was like a bucket of cold water being poured on Taoist water. The madness in his eyes dissipated greatly and was replaced with shock. This child has the potential to become a 3rd-step cultivator. He actually comprehended his own essence. There are countless cultivators in this world, but 3rd-step cultivators are extremely rare. This child could actually reach this point. If given enough time, I feared that he could become a 3rd-step cultivator in just 1,000 years. Taoist water's expression became gloomy, but his determination to kill Wang Lin grew even stronger. "He must die." Taoist water charged at Wang Lin. He raised his right hand, and the giant cultivation planet appeared before him. He was about to use the power of this cultivation planet to crush Wang Lin, who he thought of as an ant that had turned into a mortal, that had turned into someone with the potential to become a 3rd-step cultivator. The death aura around Wang Lin rotated like crazy. The life and death essence inside was growing. Although it was slow, it was real. It seemed like it was going to break free from the death vortex and appear in this world. At this instant, the royal ancient god stars, including the just recovered 6th star, all shattered. Shattered stars. All 6 stars exploded. At this moment, an even larger vortex appeared outside the death aura vortex. This vortex was filled with unimaginable ancient god aura. and another essence came out of this vortex. This essence was born from reaching completion in the karma domain. The ancient God-shattered stars were an action of karma. Without the stars shattering, how could there be power? Shatter and power were karma. In this moment of life or death, Wang Lin's shattered stars allowed him to comprehend his second essence. Karma essence. This Taoist water-s expression changed greatly. Wang Lin's life and death essence had already shocked him, but at this moment a monstrous wave was set off in his heart. Make yours. There was actually a second essence. Just one essence is enough to become a third-step cultivator, but having two essences is extremely rare. Only people like Sovereign, Qin Lin, and other amazing talents could enter Tao with two essences and reach the third step. If this child can reach the third step, then the moment he enters, I will be no match. My only choice will be to escape. Taoist water had only ever met two people with two essences, Sovereign and Qin Lin. These two people were all extremely powerful, so much so that Taoist water could not compare to them. However, now he was looking at a third person with two essences. At this moment, he even had the thought of taking Wang Lin in as a disciple. However, the moment this idea arose, it was erased by him. This child hates me to the bone, but his talent is extremely rare. Even in both the inner and outer realms, such a talent is one of a kind in tens of thousands of years. This kind of person will die by my hand. This gives me more joy than the destruction of any amount of magical treasures. Such a gifted person will be killed by me. The madness in Taoist water's eyes became even stronger as the cultivation planet closed in on Wang Lin. Just at this moment, the star of law between Wang Lin's eyebrows suddenly collapsed. The collapse of this star of law formed a third vortex that swept the world and surrounded Wang Lin. In this third vortex, there was actually essence as well. The true and false domain was contained inside his star of law. The moment this new law collapsed, the true and false domain reached completion. A true and false essence came from the vortex. This was Wang Lin's third essence. Life and death was the first essence. Karma was the second. True and false was the third essence. Three essences suddenly rushed out from the three vortexes. However, they were still weak and needed a long time to grow. When they reached a certain point and became complete, Wang Lin would be able to enter Tao with three essences and become a heaven-shaking third-step cultivator. This scene caused Taoist water's attack to stop, and his eyes almost popped out. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Three essences, no one in this has entered Tao with three essences. This child is heaven-defying. If he enters the third, even if he has just entered, I won't even be able to escape from him. Three essences. Sovereign and Qin Lin only have two essences. Even Master only had 2.5, unable to completely realize the third one. How could his child have three essences? This kind of person is someone even the heavens will want to destroy. If he becomes a third-step cultivator, even void turbulent cultivators will be no match. He could destroy the world and rule supreme. Who the hell is he? He can be an ordinary cultivator, but the reincarnation of some powerful cultivator. What kind of powerful cultivator would have the ability to reincarnate and cultivate three essences? Unless he is the reincarnation of a legendary, fourth-step heaven-trampling cultivator. Taoist water was a third-step cultivator, but at this moment he was frightened by everything he saw. Since I have provoked such an existence, I must kill him, or else there will be no place left for me. Taoist water's face was pale as he clenched his teeth. His power as a third-step cultivator erupted as he fused with the cultivation planet and smashed down on Wang Lin. Even if you are the reincarnation of a fourth-step heaven-trampling cultivator, you will still die for me. For this old man to kill this kind of person, it was worth it. Die. Start creating now. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video. Chapter 1281, Jade of the Sealed Realm. Taoist water was scared out of his wits from the essences that had come from Wang Lin's body, and his eyes almost popped out. Wang Lin's three essences were far beyond his imagination. He didn't dare to think about the destructive power Wang Lin would have if he lived and became a third-step cultivator in 1,000 years. The moment he reaches the third step, he will be powerful enough to face those that have been at the early stage of nirvana void for tens of thousands of years. In fact, there will be no match for him at all. Such a heaven-defying figure would even make the heavens jealous. He should never appear. I will kill him. I must kill him. If not, there will be no place for me in the future. At this moment, Taoist Water didn't even know that 3 essences weren't even Wang Lin's limit. He had given up his life and comprehended his first essence, the life and death essence. He had shattered his ancient god stars and comprehended his second essence, the karma essence. He had destroyed his star of law and comprehended his third essence, the true and false essence. However, within his body, which hadn't dissipated yet, there was still the fire of the vermilion bird. This vermilion bird fire had already gone through 3 metamorphoses. Each metamorphosis had greatly increased his comprehension of fire. The third metamorphosis allowed Wang Lin's mastery of fire to reach a terrifying degree. All fire spells had to yield before him. If there was a cultivator that cultivated fire spells, Wang Lin could wave his hand and trigger the other person's fire to kill them. Even if they didn't cultivate fire spells, Wang Lin could use their anger and burn them to death. In this world, the most powerful fire was the flame of anger. Everyone had it, and it was invisible, but once it began to burn and you couldn't hold out, you would die. Above the fire of anger, there was also the burning fire, which had earth-shattering power. The burning fire was burning fire itself, allowing the fire to burn a second time, resulting in incredible power. However, above the burning fire, there was still Tao fire. If Wang Lin could reach that realm, he could directly burn another S-domain. This was no longer a spell or ability, but something infinitely close to a Tao spell. Wang Lin's comprehension of fire was not at all inferior to his comprehension of life and death, karma, and true and false. If those 3 could give birth to essences, then naturally the fire would also give birth to an essence. However, this essence was well hidden, and Taoist Water simply couldn't notice it. This was due to his cultivation level. If there was a third step cultivator at the spirit void stage, they would be able to see the 4th essence that would shock all third step cultivators. 4 essences. 4. More than Sovereign, Qing Lin, and even more than the Lord of the Sealed Realm. More than any cultivator that had gained enlightenment in both in the inner and outer realms. If the Sovereign knew of this, he would do whatever it took to take Wang Lin as his disciple, no matter the cost. If Taoist Water knew of this, he would be even more shocked. To him, Wang Lin was like a seed that could become the true ruler of the ancient star system, a real ancient celestial, and a legendary 4th step cultivator. Although this person was still growing, it was still shocking. However, 4 wasn't Wang Lin's limit. Under the hidden fire essence inside Wang Lin's body was his last essence, the 5th essence, Thunder, Heavenly Thunder Essence. He had devoured half an ancient thunder dragon origin soul, transformed his origin soul for over 1,000 years, and absorbed the thunder from the ancient scattered thunder clan. This allowed him to exercise the right over thunder in place of the heavens, but if we're to go one step further, he could replace in place and command his own thunder. Then, if he gained enlightenment and devoured 9 different kinds of thunder, he could become the master of thunder and complete his thunder Tao, giving him incredible power. Others would be acting in place of the heavens, but Wang Lin would be acting according to his own will. These 2 essences were hidden deep within his body, and Taoist Water couldn't detect them at all. If he knew Wang Lin actually had 5 essences, what kind of shocked expression would he have? However, all of this was extremely weak and dangerous. As long as Taoist Water's attack descended, he would completely kill Wang Lin and make Wang Lin die right now. Once dead, these 5 essences would disappear. The birth of 5 essences on one person, which had never happened in the inner or outer realms, would be lost. Right now, Wang Lin was too weak before a third step cultivator. However, as long as he had time and opportunity, Wang Lin could quickly become a powerful existence that even third step cultivators would have to yield to. None of this was completely certain, but when faced with Taoist Water's life and death crisis, Wang Lin had given birth to 5 essences under the pressure. Everything changed, and Wang Lin became the cultivator with the most essences in history. Die for me! Taoist Water revealed a crazed look with a hint of terror and excitement. These expressions together showed his perverted personality. He wanted to kill this heaven-defying talented person. He wanted to kill this person he suspected to be the reincarnation of a 4th step cultivator. He wanted to kill this person that could match the most powerful treasure in the world. On the cultivation planet he threw, the 1.5 billion Water Tao disciples gave off a shocking force and descended on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were completely calm. At this point, he had let go of everything. Live or die, it didn't matter as everything was flashing by. The only things he couldn't cut off were his parents, Wang Heiress love, and his friendship with Situ and Qing Shui. He didn't want to cut those off. He was unwilling to cut them off. He would simply take them all and walk toward death together. The fire of death could be brighter than any star. If one died with no one near their heart, their death would be lonely and cold. However, if there were still lingering feelings in the heart, even death could be as bright as a star and shine far and wide. You want to kill me? Then let us die together. As the giant cultivation planet smashed down, Wang Lin opened his arms. The three vortexes moved like crazy and the fire and thunder essences inside his body rushed out. This attack was beyond the 100 punches of life, more powerful than the god-slaying war chariot. This was an attack using the essences Wang Lin had just comprehended to launch the most brilliant attack in his life, his last spell. The heavens and earth rumbled as the star fog collapsed and dissipated. The entire rank region shattered, and 5 giant spatial cracks appeared in the rank region. They become an eternal separation line in the cloud sea. Even in the rank region, a spatial crack split it in half. This attack was infinitely close to a third-step spell. It was enough to destroy any Nirvana Shatterer cultivator and Heaven-S Blight powerhouse. Even the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor would without a doubt die. Wang Lin could only use this attack once because it was used at the cost of collapse.